So this is the first NASCAR podcast on the Hoffle. Well, for the Hoffle channel, but we're probably gonna create a better name for the podcast as we go. I'm the hot dog, and here we have Alb 0055 guest, or what can we call you?
My name's Wiley. I'm from Marietta, Georgia.
All right. Yes, we got Wiley, and we have Uriel. He is on his way. So it's just two people right now. We can have a pretty good conversation regardless.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So we're just gonna start with the first topic, and once Uriel gets here, we'll go over favorite drivers and stuff like that.
Right.
Just to start off, favorite moment from 2023. That's the big question here.
I liked the Ross Chastain and Noah Gragson pit road fight, if you want to call it a fight.
That was I completely forgot about that one.
Yeah, I was telling you, I was thinking about some of these. Wow, forgot about that. Also, I think the Denny Hamlin, I beat your favorite driver. Although I don't really have the highest opinion of Hamlin, I think the drama definitely helps, and it's definitely really entertaining.
Yeah, I could tell by the fact behind you, but that was definitely the drivers are definitely they're really exploring their character. I think in these instances, and I think some NASCAR drivers need to do that a lot more. Denny Hamlin, he's what NASCAR needs. Unfortunately, he's not very popular, but
yeah, but from certain things he said, like his I think the race after, he mentioned that he had spoke to Joe Gibbs about the sponsors' opinion, and he seemed to think that the sponsors were perfectly fine with it. I think his image among his fans, especially in an advertising perspective, is still pretty good. And like you said, I think if more drivers did that kind of thing, where more drivers, in addition to ones that already have a personality, did that, I think that NASCAR as a sport would be additionally more entertaining, especially because, we've got Hamlin, and to an extent, we have Chastain. It was more at the beginning of the season, this season. Chastain, Larson has some of that. But yeah, I think a lot of drivers doing that definitely helps.
Yeah. When you look at Ryan Blaney winning the championship, he's just on I think he was on, was it like Mary and or no, Kelly and some show.
Kelly and Ryan, and he was in New York this past weekend.
Yeah, he was in New York, and that was that's something. It certainly is a thing, but nobody. I'll be honest, nobody cares. So
yeah,
you start catering it to Ryan Blaney, because that dude, when we're talking about Denny Hamlin and stuff like that, that dude is a character, and they're not doing anything really.
Ryan Blaney on Saturday Night Live, I think, would be absolutely hysterical. Get him on there with someone like either him and Bubba Wallace or him and Chase Elliott doing a skit on Saturday Night Live would be absolutely hysterical.
Yeah, that would be extremely organic too, since they're really good friends. As far as my favorite moment, it was an almost favorite moment. It was Kyle Busch nearly winning the Daytona 500 with RCR in his first race, and then Austin Dillon in the 3-car pushing him up there, and him being there's the caution, and him being we would have won in 1998. That was just, it didn't happen, but it was the thing I remember the most. That and Jimmy John running in the top 10 that whole day in '84. I think it's weird. The whole season kind of was a blur, and it happened so fast that think of anything else. It feels like that happened just yesterday.
Right, and then I think something to be said about that. Not even just RCR, but the team racing. I may have just only noticed it this season, but I feel like the team racing has almost gone up a factor for this season, especially because there was Austin Dillon pushing Kyle Busch, but also the second Daytona race this season. Obviously, this was different because they were both trying to make the playoffs. But Alex Bowman and Chase Elliott giving themselves some pushes.
Oh yeah,
up at the end of that race.
Yeah, they were really controlling at Daytona, and they were also really controlling the race at Talladega. Like, I mean, yeah, you got a point there that there's definitely been a lot more of that because the past couple of years, I see like the drivers being so dang selfish, just leaving each other out to dry. Like, I get that on the last lap, but like 10 laps to go, they'll do that. I'm like, bro, just work together.
I think that and it also might be because I think arguably there is one or maybe two teams for each manufacturer that hands down lead for the manufacturer. Like it's Hendrick for Chevy right now. For Ford, I guess this season it would have been RFK and maybe Penske. The Fords obviously were a different situation this season, and then for Toyota, Joe Gibbs. And I think that the reason that they might do that is because they want to follow those teams, the front runners, the ones that have some of the better minds up in the pit box and things like that, because they probably think it gives them a better shot.
We're definitely seeing a lot more like manufacturer alliances here. I'm glad about that because a lot of people are like, stock cars are not stock, and there's no point and there's no difference between the cars. But the manufacturers, they build engines, they run the programs, they hire the drivers.
Right. And I think that makes things more interesting. Like there's going to be races like this. There were in the past. There are going to be some in the future. I promise that they're just this track is a Toyota playground. This track is better for Chevy, and then Ford super speedways.
What's the Toyota playground?
I think Pocono was one of them. There were just multiple races this season where the Toyotas would qualify. Most of them would be in the top 10. Like off the top of my head, I can't remember specifics other than Pocono,
Kansas, and Darlington. Those are the two big Toyota tracks.
Right.
That stick out to me. But on that topic, we'll kind of jump a little bit farther forward, just to touch on a little bit. But I think a lot of that Toyota success, it got me thinking that I think a lot of it comes to the fact that they've got 6 full-time cars. If you really think about it, that's it. And I mean, if you can focus all of your resources, all of your money, all of your strategy, everything into those just a couple cars, when you Chevy out here with like 10 teams plus, like you can see the dividends there. And I'm just wondering, like, well, I mean, what do you think is going to happen with like Legacy Motor Club moving over to Toyota?
I think part of Toyota's success does come from the skill of the drivers and the teams, because obviously Joe Gibbs, you've got Denny Hamlin, you have Martin Truex Jr., Christopher Bell, and Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace, all talented drivers. And then with Legacy, I definitely think Eric Jones.
42 is going to be John Hunter Nemechek. And
okay. No, because Husavar went to Ty Dillon's car, didn't he?
Yes, yeah. I wish Hosavar would have stayed in that 42 because they're out here selling merch for their
right. And Hosavar actually did the races he ran. He actually did pretty well. Like he did. Like obviously, just like Josh Berry, it took him a second to kind of get used to it. But there were multiple times I would look up at the race, and not even in the pits, not even the weird pit cycle. Like I look up, Hosavar's top 15, or Hosavar's like almost in the top 10. Like he's been doing well. But I think the pressure that he had on him to try and get around Heim is what caused him to make that decision. And he even, from what I understand, he even owned up to it to an extent. I think a lot of other drivers, given the same situation, probably would have made the same mistake.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely a lot of mixed emotions. Like, I definitely felt like that. Like, he was making that. It was an honest mistake, and you shouldn't really look any farther beyond that. And this is going to be interesting when Uriel gets here because he's a massive Carson Hocevar fan. He's going to have some strong opinions. But for me, when he was like doing like this in the car and everything, I thought that was just a complete act. I thought he was the first thing I thought of is this dude is practicing his acting skills and he's trying to make everyone feel bad for him. That dude was going deep into the corners and maybe he didn't mean to spin him out, but the man meant to get aggressive and to try to dive him, move him, use the bumper or something. And
I don't doubt that at all. And I mean, but like I said, any other driver, you're in the Champ 4, you're racing another driver in the Champ 4 like that. I think a lot of other drivers are just as aggressive, and I don't. That doesn't justify spinning him out, obviously, but I mean, rubbing's racing to an extent. Like obviously, spinning him out is more than just a little rubbing, but I mean, racing, right?
Yeah, I think he's going to probably run like 30th most races.
Yeah, unfortunately, like if he, like Legacy is another thing, but Spire, obviously the Ty Dillon car, I never saw once in the top 20.
They're giving everything to Corey LaJoie. He's a great race car driver, and they want to prioritize him. Ty Dillon's just in that car because for whatever reason, that dude knows how to get sponsors. I don't know how, but he just does. And he's giving them a lot of good money. And then like maybe we'll see him on like Talladega or just some random track like Gateway. He'll be running top 15 or something.
Could be. Or Trackhouse is starting to pour some collaboration and Aspire. I think he'd be a good fit for that car, definitely, especially sharing a sponsor with Chastain. Especially a team like Trackhouse that has some big names involved, like Pitbull, and bringing in, some more, I guess, prestige finishes. I definitely think a third car is probably, further in the future, probably an option for him.
Yeah, but it's just a question of who fits that because we got Zane Smith, we got Carson Hocevar in the conversation, and then we have Shane Van Gisberger in there.
My goat. That guy, I'm so excited to see him race this season in ovals. Like, obviously, we know he's good on road courses with a top 10 finish at Indy and the win, obviously, at Chicago Street Course. I think he, especially with the similarities between the NASCAR Cup car and the V8 Supercar and the possibility for him to bring Red Bull into NASCAR back as a main sponsor, I think he may have a good season. Like, obviously, the road courses come self-explanatory with his skill there, but I'm excited to see him on some drafting tracks and some short ovals. Like, I want to see how he does.
Yeah, maybe some people think he's going to be in over his head, but he did drive at, I think it was IRP in the truck series, and I think he ran, I want to say he was running like 20th to about 15th, somewhere in that range for the entirety of the race. So, he's up there with a new truck series driver.
Right. But he could, it also could be an AJ Allmendinger kind of situation where he is a road course kind of pony,
You got a point because the dude is really, really good at shifting and braking and tight maneuvering. So I think it is get into the rhythm that the NASCAR, the oval guys can get into. I think he can do really well. Like Martinsville, I think.
Yeah, Martinsville, at least this year, wasn't a very good, as far as I remember, Chevy track.
You definitely bring up a good point because I remember the first race at Martinsville, I didn't pick Kyle Larson because it's like the only track I'm not good at. And then I picked all the other Hendrick drivers because they were going crazy. William Byron is going crazy. But the Hendrick guys did not show up. And I was like, what the heck? And then you, for whatever reason in the fantasy thing, did not pick them that week except Kyle Larson. I'm like, what? And then he wins.
I don't know. He's maybe Larson on a mile and a half track if he spins in qualifying or something. But usually he qualifies up there anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, talking about Chase Elliott, that's how he won his championship back in 2020. Started from the back of the field, went to the front. Like, he's good at doing that. And last year, he would have won the championship, too, if we had the normal point. The Winston Cup.
There's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
I've got different opinions on it because there's a couple different aspects. Like in any other sport, the playoff system kind of favors a team who brings momentum into it, which is what I kind of liked about this year with Blaney. Like I thought that was valid, and I think that was deserved this season because he was not super great until the playoffs started.
He played by the rules. He won that championship fair and square.
Yeah, and the playoff format has problems with it. Like the some of the drivers that win are, I hate to say it, like certain wasted playoff spots. If you're gonna explain it like that, like Stenhouse, I wanted to see him do well, but obviously the one win, the Daytona 500, he did have a couple top 10 finishes this season.
Yeah, as long as they ran like Ryan Blaney did, they'll be just fine. That's kind of the thing where it's like, well, that's not cool when you got Byron out here winning 6 races, putting together, he's led over 1,000 laps the entire season. He's put together nearing like not quite there, not even close actually, but like similar in regards to other drivers like Jeff Gordon's 1998 season. He like William Byron would have won the title. It was Winston Cup, and here we're looking at Ryan Blaney. Like I said, deserved, but it's kind of like dang, like
Yeah, I definitely see that point too. Like when a driver has a season like William Byron has had, he should have some kind of edge going into the final race, like like some kind of points cushion, especially.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I don't know how you would really do that. I think probably the best thing, and a lot of people have been talking about this, and I'm wondering what you think, but people have been talking about a final 3 race round instead of one single race.
I think that if the season wasn't as long as it was already, I think that would be a good idea. It was. If you think about it, if there were 3 races left in the Truck Series, do you think Hocevar gets as aggressive as he does and spends time?
No.
Or really? Yeah, and that's what I'm.
don't think so. So you think that Hocevar staying Heim is a good thing?
No, no, and yes, because
I think it can be for sure.
because with any sport like football, soccer, NASCAR, anything like that, things like that breed entertainment. Things like that bring in new fans because they look at that and say, "Oh, that's really interesting," and the playoff system puts pressure on these drivers to get aggressive and do those kind of things. And obviously, spinning is not the greatest thing, but encouraging some aggression, I think, is a good thing with that race, with there being one race. But the good things that come with 3 races are that there's not, I don't know, there's not a one and done kind of deal like you were talking about with someone who like William Byron did this season, put up 6 wins and had over 1,000 laps led. And the same with Larson having well over 1,000 laps led. And the DNF are another thing to talk about, but I don't know. There's trade-offs, just like that.
You might be able to get that in 3 races because organically the championship may come down to that final race where all of them have a mathematical title, but it's based on points instead of just you win and you're in. So it'll feel at least more deserved, but all the drivers are still close in.
Right. Like they obviously reset the points for that final round of 3, and I think that gives an opportunity for everybody to have. It also gives some good credit to consistency because if you like William Byron did, which round was it? He finished, his average position was like second or something. Was that round of 12? But he,
I think it was round of 12, and we got Uriel here. He is
What
here.
up, fellas? Sorry I'm late.
All good. It's all good. Glad you're here. This is Uriel. What would you like to be called?
I have some Mexican heritage, so I was thinking about maybe some Spanish food. It's still in the works. I was thinking like like quesadilla or something, maybe. I'm not sure yet.
A hot dog.
Working on it.
So, Wiley,
I'm just using my name. We were talking about the playoff system and things that could be done to the final round to kind of make it a little better, I guess, in a word.
yeah, we were
Okay.
just general discussion about some stuff. We were going through some of the questions, but it definitely got. I'm glad about, and we're just kind of like an appetizer.
Makes sense.
But we went over a couple things that I think you might have some pretty heavy opinions. Like we were talking about Carson, wondering just spitball right now.
Yeah.
Your take on like the host incident.
The host of our incident? From Phoenix, yeah. I honestly wasn't a fan that he did what he did. I mean, you could see it. I think even on the broadcast, they showed how frustrated he was. So I was like, it's not a way you want to see him win a championship. So, when Corey Haim did his antics towards the end of the race, I wasn't like, oh, I have anything against Haim, as a host of our fan. But I was just like, but I just felt like there was a better ways of doing it. Especially because I guess in a sense he kind of manipulated the race a lot. Like Enfinger was on course to win that.
Yeah,
I think maybe I guess a physical confrontation would have probably been better. But I think to not only take out a championship contender and then take out his own he's taking himself out of contention, and on top of that taking out a teammate, I think was very low. I don't think Parson was too mad. I think Krista Voda or whoever, Jamie Little, is she the one commentating? I think she's the one.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes. Jamie Little was commentating.
He was the one who was talking about. I think Carson said something on the radio saying that it was fair. So I mean, I wasn't too like upset about it. At the end.
Yeah, I completely forgot that even happened. I've erased that from the memory. Just Dale Jr. said, we're only going to remember what far, and look at me. But yeah, what he did was way worse. Way, way worse, because you could have some argument Bar didn't mean to do it, but Han blatantly did that and then cost Enfinger EMS Racing Class Championship. So, I'm sad about that, but can't change that. That's the playoff system.
It's just racing.
Yeah. Well, okay. So now that we got that out of the way, we'll touch that later on. That'll come back. So now that we've got everybody here, unfortunately, I don't think I told you, but Ricky's not going to be able to make it because he's doing a Veterans Day event today, unfortunately. But next time, surely. But just since we got everybody here, let's go over starting with Wiley. Okay. Favorite driver, both ever and current, and how/why did you get into NASCAR?
All right, so start with favorite drivers. The first race I ever went to, this was getting up like 8 years ago now. It was Atlanta, and Logano won. And so I told myself, all right, this is the guy who won. This is who I'm going to follow for a while. So I followed Logano, and then Chase Elliott came in, and especially when they swapped from the Fusion and the Impala to the Camaro and the Mustang in the Cup Series, I wanted to pick a Chevy driver because I'm a big Camaro guy. So I picked Chase Elliott, mostly because I liked his color scheme. My grandfather actually followed him for a while. And then more recently, I've started, watching some of the old races with Bill Elliott because I actually met Bill Elliott at the Georgia Racing Hall of Fame up in Dawsonville. As far as getting into NASCAR, that first race 8 years ago, my dad took my brother and I, and from then I kind of paid attention loosely, and then COVID happened, and I wanted something car-related to pay attention to, so I started watching NASCAR pretty religiously.
Oh, yeah, that's real. That's real. And Logano, your note about that, I was a Logano fan, believe it or not, back in 2020 because that paint scheme, like, that is iconic. They had scallops forever, and they had Joey Logano, Forza Motorsport 6, and I would play as him.
Yo, that's a throwback.
Yes.
Motorsport 6 was the days, man.
Yeah, looking at it now versus the game they got at now.
God, what a downgrade. Anyway.
Topic for another day.
Yep.
Yep. Sure. All right. Well, you're up. You're up.
All right. So I'm Daniel Suarez fan. I've been a Suarez fan for about 8 years. Hold on, wait. Sorry. Hold on. My mom's calling me.
All right, we'll go on with Taylor then.
Right. I guess I'll move on to me. Well, favorite driver, I mean, as you can see, ever is Jeff Gordon because of NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005, way back in the EA Sports days on the OG Xbox. So I like the 24. I started watching in 2020 because of COVID. There was nothing going on. It was just like so boring. I was just like you back then trying to do the private pilot thing. Now you're past that, but that's what I was trying to do. And then they were having us do the online tests and stuff. And then really I was so bored. Just started watching NASCAR. And then there's a driver that drove the 24, William Byron. So Byron is my number one. He always will be, but now there's a lot of other drivers up there. Coming up there is Tyler Reddick. He's probably even with William Byron for me. But yeah, and then I guess that's also how I got into NASCAR too. That answers that. So you are back.
I'm back. Yes. So I've been a Suarez fan. I'm a big Daniel Suarez fan. I've been a fan for about 8 years when he was just starting out in Xfinity. And when he got the Cup, I actually met him right before he won his Xfinity title in 2016. And I think the day after he was signing something else, and he was like, and he was signing another diecast. Like I just bought it from like the Fanatic Sense when those were a thing, and I told him, you're going to be in the Cup Series soon in Spanish because I'm Hispanic, and I think it was something in common. And then a few months later, Carl Edwards retired, and I have not left his side since through the Gibbs days, SHR days, Gaunt Brothers, everything. Seen it all.
Yeah,
But
through tough times.
the lows have been very low, but I still stay faithful. But I was a Gordon fan growing up. I think it was because I had like a shirt when I was like 3 or something, and I had a Gordon shirt, and it was like the original Firestorm paint scheme from like the early 2000s. And I didn't get hooked on NASCAR at my first race. Actually, my first race was the 2010 spring race. So that was the race when Montoya was leading, and Carl Edwards flipped Brad Keselowski. I love that car, man. But
I mean, classic. There, you cannot beat.
I left early that day, actually, though, that first Atlanta race, because my parents were like, oh, it's not going to happen. And I was like 5, so I didn't have any authority over it. And then a few laps later, Keselowski flips because of Edwards. And then hell breaks loose, and then Kurt Busch wins. But I didn't get hooked. 2011 was the race that got me hooked. I remember there was a lot more stuff going on, and I remember my cousin went there and like a friend of ours, and I remember, this is what I remember vividly. Since it was a race, since it was delayed due to rain 2 days, I remember getting checked out of second grade, like at 9 a.m. We hauled ass to the racetrack and saw Jeff Gordon beat Jimmy Johnson and like that, with their worn tires to the end.
Oh, yeah,
That got me hooked. And I've been my first full year. Well, my first full year that I tried watching was 2012, and I haven't lost a bug since. I've seen a lot.
yeah,
Gordon's last race. There's a good few memories in there.
yeah. You've been in that. Like those are legendary moments that I wish I could have known. Like I was just sitting on my ass. I was just sucking my thumb back then. I don't know what the heck I was doing. Because I was playing Xbox most days, but
Fair enough.
man.
I rooted for Gordon up until he retired. Then I was an Elliott fan for a year, and then when Suarez got moved up to Cup, I was like, I'm sticking with Suarez, and yeah, it's been like that. There's a few drivers I like though nowadays. I've liked Ryan Preece for a few years. Liked him since when he was at Gibbs part time, and I still have a soft spot for him. I like Noah Gragson a little bit because I met him a few times, and he was genuinely a good person. I know he's not really with the seat right now, but
You're still like Noah Gregson.
I still like Noah Gragson. Yeah,
Right. I mean, me too, to an extent.
yeah, and I like Todd Gilliland a lot. I see a lot of potential in him, and I wish him the best. Trying to think. I think who else comes to mind.
For sure.
And like you previously mentioned, I like Carson Hocevar as well, and I like Sam Mayer in the Xfinity series.
All right.
Yeah.
So now that we got introductions out of the way, what did you think about the season in general? Full picture.
I don't think it was better than last year's. Last year's was something special, but I think personally, I still think it's an upgrade over what the 550 package used to be, especially on the intermediates with the later Gen 6 years.
Yep.
Definitely, I'd rate this a lot better.
Yeah, the short track package too has
The short track package. At the beginning of the year, I wasn't so sold at Phoenix, especially, but I think towards the latter half, I don't know what they did, but they improved it.
tire.
And I'll give them their
They got a new tire
tires.
comp.
Oh, that's why.
But I mean, yeah, I think it was not as crazy as last year, and the racing was not as good. It wasn't as many crazy stuff happening, but I mean, I think it was on par in some instances. Like we had SVG, we had Ryan Blaney going crazy, and William Byron finally having his breakout year. So I think we still had some pretty good stories.
Yeah, I think a lot of it was kind of front-loaded, unfortunately, because a lot of the Chastain drama happened right at the beginning of the season, like his specifically the Larson Chastain wreck on the tail end of the Darlington race, and the Chastain Noah Gragson drama I mentioned before. That, and obviously there was some at the end with Hamlin kind of the I beat your favorite driver thing. I think the drama wise, it was on par with last season. Racing wise, I think last season was a little better racing wise. But I still think this season was pretty good. It was pretty entertaining from a fan standpoint. And I think doing new things like the Chicago Street Race, the view count, surprisingly, the streaming was the highest it's ever been. And a lot of people didn't like the Chicago Street Course, but I've seen multiple places and the streaming count was the highest it's ever been for a NASCAR race.
Yeah, it was surprisingly. James, you know James, like that. He's not part of the podcast, obviously. He was in Chicago and he was just walking around downtown and just saw the Chicago Street Race going down. And that dude hates NASCAR with a passion. Like he thinks rednecks driving in circles. So he saw that and was like, yo, this is really cool. So we can have people that hate NASCAR that are like, this is really cool. Then that says something about the Chicago Street Course and the direction that the sport is going in. So yeah. And with the drama thing, I think we've just been so saturated with crazy crap happening last year that we just get a year where it's just normal racing and just drama here and there that like it feels like it's not, but it has been.
Yeah, especially to someone who doesn't normally watch NASCAR and is used to something like F1 where that stuff does not happen all the time. Yeah. I definitely think that compared to F1, NASCAR has more of those moments that are particularly entertaining, and that's why I prefer NASCAR. One of the reasons I prefer NASCAR over F1, especially this season.
Yeah, there's especially this season. Oh my gosh, but there's definitely like pros and cons because it's like, well, the most deserving guy won the championship here in NASCAR. It was actually fun to watch. There's a point in watching.
I'm inclined to agree with. Oh,
no, go ahead.
I was inclined to agree with. I forgot your name. What's your name?
Wiley.
I'm inclined to agree with you because there was. I agree because I watch everything, man. I watch NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One, IMSA. I watch it all. I love it. I enjoy watching it. But there was a point in time where I actually preferred Formula One over NASCAR, and that was during the unsurprisingly. I know I've already talked about it, but the 550 package that really drove me away from the sport for a bit. But with the next gen, it's kind of recaptured the love that I had previously and the preference I have it over Formula One. But it's very difficult to really convey people, I feel like, at times, because people just have that preconceived notion of just deep, like, rednecks driving in circles. And even within the motor racing community, we're already such like a small group of people where it's a niche thing to like motor racing, and to just put each other against each other because of a different discipline, I think is very silly.
Yeah, we need to look at it and just be like,
motor racing,
fast, ooga dooga, this is freaking awesome. And we should, just enjoy the action.
Engine Go Burr. Let's all watch Engine Go Burr together.
Or go fast. car go fast, driver win.
And another thing I feel that we need to talk about, even though it wasn't technically officially it was officially NASCAR, but Garage 56 this season. I think that on the track, we've never really seen something like that at Le Mans before. The engine sounds nice. It has a lot of horsepower, whatever, for any reason. I think that was a cool thing to do, especially utilizing Hendrick's resources to go into that.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, they technically, I think the Garage 56 did or was going to beat out all the GT3 cars, if I'm not mistaken.
Until its transmission failure. Yeah, like hour 20, and I think finished 8th amongst the GT cars if they were competing in there. But fun fact about the NASCAR thing: it's not the first time a NASCAR car was at Le Mans. Actually,
right.
there was I think it was the 70s. They had like a NASCAR class or something because car counts were low at Le Mans, and they were like, you're like, screw it, let's throw in some stock cars. And
like a Ford or something.
I think it was like a Wood Brothers Mercury. I don't remember.
There was a Camaro. Or a NASCAR Camaro. No. This is a different thing. Sorry.
I think I know what you're talking about. Was it at Daytona?
No, it wasn't. This is an entirely different thing. But they have run Camaros at NASCAR or at Le Mans before. This was just not NASCAR. I was thinking of something different.
Must have been a Trans Am car.
Probably.
It was a modified Trans Am car. Yeah.
But that no car from like that original time when stock cars were at Le Mans finished, because I guess I don't know what it could have been, but they didn't finish. So
what made it?
They haven't been there before.
But I think if they kept entering cars like that, because those cars were designed for endurance with a lot of the components, I think they probably could have done well if they kept it going.
Yeah, and this is the first year they've done it too. First year they've done it in the modern era with the quote-unquote next-gen car, because this was an entirely modified car. But I think, considering everything that happened, I think that they did well. They finished the race. If you go back to the Ford versus Ferrari story, Ford, first couple of years with the GT40, couldn't figure out the kinks. And then the next, obviously, you know where that went. But I think, given, I don't know if they're going to do it again. They might. Given a couple more years, they figure out the kinks. That thing, it's got its own class, obviously, but that thing beats all the GT cars, given it runs that whole race without braking.
Yeah. I mean, it has some merit. I don't know where they would take it from here, but I think that thing to do, create a stock car racing class, that would be really cool to find a way to get more manufacturers into the sport.
Oh, for sure. I actually drew up a whole, one day I drew up a whole concept for a NASCAR Cup car class at Le Mans, and the major stipulation being that it's optional. Each team has one car, so Joe Gibbs would have a car, Hendrick would have a car, Penske'd have a car. They swap out their drivers, obviously, and they all kind of do the same thing they do with the Cup. They have horsepower restrictions, parts supplier restrictions, weight restrictions, everything like that, to make the cars as even as possible. And you throw those cars on the track, it's game on.
Show how good the racing is, and then at the same time, all the teams would get some, not just Hendrick, because I know they were really mad about that.
Yeah.
I heard, I think Denny Hamlin was upset about how Hendrick were able to test it and stuff, but I think eventually NASCAR was like, we're going to share the data with the other teams as well, so they don't feel left out, and that's how they kind of appeased the rest of the teams.
Yeah, it was definitely an issue. But all right. So the next thing, when we're talking about the championship, when it comes to Ryan Blaney and whatnot, first we got to start with, who'd you pick to win the championship all the way back in Daytona?
Obviously this was before the whole injury thing. I had Chase Elliott winning it, unfortunately.
I didn't really think about who. I didn't think long term of who's going to win the title, because I feel like it's just a very difficult thing to predict. I was like, because the playoff throws a wrench into the works like that. But I guess I probably would have said something along the lines of Larson, but I did have a lot of hope in Suarez. I know it's very biased, but I saw that up year last year, and given that he nearly made the round of 8 last year, had a few chips fallen a little
He
bit better for him, he would
he
have made it.
go out.
What'd you
That
say?
was if his power steering didn't go out. It would
Yeah.
have. Yeah.
So that was my I guess Suarez. I'd say Suarez is my final answer for that.
Well, I think next year you're gonna have a shot. He's going to be out for blood next year.
For a few people too, specifically.
Oh yeah,
And that
Bowman. But yeah. So
Bell.
yes, yeah. For me, it was Tyler Reddick. I thought he was going to finally blow up with Toyota, and he got to the round. That was pretty dang cool. But next year, he's gonna have to elevate his game. But that was my pick. And then at the start of the playoffs, it was still Tyler Reddick. And then when it came to right before Phoenix, it was Blaney. So for y'all, who was your pick at the start of the playoffs, and who going into Phoenix was it for you guys?
So start of the playoffs, I had William Byron based on his season that thus far, and I saw Vegas at the very end. I was like, yeah, Byron's gonna hit that and win. Before Phoenix, I still had William Byron, obviously, because I genuinely thought it would be between him and Larson again coming to win that race.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have if it was the old. I hate keep coming back to that, but it probably would have at the end of the day. But for me, it was just Blaney is too dang good at Phoenix. But then Byron did win at Phoenix earlier this year, so it was like, wow, it could be anybody.
Right, and that made it pretty entertaining too. Unfortunately, I only could catch it over the radio, but I would have liked to be able to watch it.
Yeah.
I predicted Larson at the start of the playoffs. I don't know. I just thought I was like, he's arguably one of the best driver crew chief and team combos out there. But going into Phoenix, I thought Blaney, man, because I know Taylor brought up a good point about uh, Byron won in the spring, but to me, I feel like at this time of year, track conditions are fairly different, and given how Blaney ran there last year, I was like, I feel like Blaney. I had a hunch it was Blaney. I even DM'd we were messaging on Instagram with Taylor, and I was like last Wednesday prior to the championship, I was like, I think Blaney's going to win, and even if I want Larson too, I think Blaney's going to get it, and I hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. I was 1 for 3 on the championship picks. At least I got that. But yeah, Blaney did not disappoint. That was something. But all right. So now we got Ryan Blaney as a champion. So we've talked about this loosely, and we've basically hit everything. But let's just go over it, one more time. Get the overall, opinion of it. But what do you think Ryan Blaney winning the championship says about the current format? And basically, what are your views on the format? Good.
I don't like it.
You don't like it? I like right in. I like it.
I have although it's been in the system for most of the time, I've been a fan. The more I look at it, the more it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I'm not taking anything away from Blaney. Blaney within the system, you can never hate the champions of the system because under what NASCAR sees fit, they deserve the title. So there's nothing to take away from Blaney. I'm not gonna be like Blaney didn't deserve it. He wasn't the most consistent because that's like a coulda, woulda, shoulda thing, But I really do. This system does leave a bad taste in my mouth. I think there's a few things that could be rectified. I feel like you could go back to the original chase format from 2004, or even if you really wanted to have some drama, the 2011 through 2012 format with the wild cards, that wasn't that bad. Yeah, I prefer Winston Cup format any day of the week, but but realistically, I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Yeah, that'd be a good balance. It'd still close up the points battle and make it closer, but at the same time, it'd make the championship a little bit more legitimate. So I agree with you. I think the chase format, if we can't get the dang Winston Cup back, at least bring that back.
Yeah, because now we don't have Jimmy Johnson winning every race. So that was part of the reason his dominance, part of the reason they decided to mess with it.
Yeah, I'm They him and Chad Knaus, man, they cracked that code. They just broke the code's back with a sickening crack, as Slap Shoes once said in his video about the playoffs. It was disgusting how they just turned up the Jets the last 10 races. It was truly not to take away anything from his greatness, but that was because I think well, like I said, I'll prefer the season long format, but that's truly impressive. The way they were able to exploit the system like that, and
Yeah.
credits given where it's due.
And it shows how crazy the playoff, like winning a championship now, because I see in Kyle Larson what Jimmy Johnson. I mean, he technically has his team right now, the remnants of the 48, but it's like I mean, when I went to Miami, like they have the complete unit. Like when his car broke down, like you had Chad Knaus there looking under the car, like wrenching on stuff. Like they have insane dedication over there at Hendrick to all of their teams, but the 5 team, they are buttoned up. So it's just a testament to how hard it is to win a championship these days.
For sure. I'd agree with you.
Yeah. Well, moving on, since we got the playoff format views and the championship with Ryan Blaney. I mean, which one do you think was probably your favorite of the championship races?
I think I'm inclined to say the Cup race because there were some interesting things that happened. Like the last, I had a gap between kind of the start and the end, but Harvick leading laps was cool. The Chastain and Ryan Blaney racing was cool. There were just some little details about that race that made it watchable, I'll say.
Yeah, there was a lot of really cool stuff going on, and like I definitely agree with you. Like for what happened in the race, the Cup race is probably number one for me. The Xfinity for the actual racing product was probably the best, but I definitely agree with you for that aspect.
I'm kind of clear with Wiley about it. With the Cup Series, I didn't really get to watch the Xfinity race, but I saw a good amount of the truck race. So I can't really judge and be like, hey, this is better. But I'll take your word for it because usually Xfinity has the best racing product anyways. So
Yeah.
Especially this year. This year, there have been races that Xfinity was, especially one of them notable ones is Talladega. Xfinity just has produced comparable, if not better, racing in an entertaining fashion than Cup has this season.
Yeah, like 3 wide the entire time.
I'm a firm believer. This is my dream. Unrestricted Xfinity cars should be the Cup cars, and bring it back to like the early 2000s where the Cup Series and the Busch Series cars were very similar with the same bodies and everything. That's the dream, man. That's the dream.
Talladega?
Oh no, not at Talladega, but I'm just saying like in general for the course of the season. No, don't do unrestricted at Talladega, man.
It would be really cool to see, like, maybe, I don't know, like an intermediate package race at Talladega. Like, I don't know how, I mean, that's like 200 extra horsepower, but
I heard, oh, sorry to interrupt. I heard Rusty Wallace, I think, tested a Cup car once, unrestricted at Talladega. I heard he hit 241 miles an hour.
Oh yeah.
And then,
back in
no, but this is like 2000. This is like 2004 or 5 when cars were restricted. They took a car unrestricted to Talladega, and he hit like 241, and apparently the right front was shredded, dude. So you can imagine how much wheel he was putting into that, and you can imagine why they don't do that anymore. So
that's understandable. But I mean, I do remember at the end of the 2022 regular season finale at Daytona when the entire field was completely destroyed. And then there was a crash with like Austin Cindric and whatnot. And then the drivers got spread out at Daytona and it looked super cool. And I want that. And then Cody Ware was going to win. But now Cody Ware's a freaking, whatever you want to call him now.
Wife beater.
Yeah. Horrible.
Ugh.
Look at it. Really had some crazy crap going on, actually.
I forgot about the Cody Ware stuff. It's kind of in the back of my head, but I forgot about it until now.
Such a shame.
I don't blame you, man. He's been he's a rare example of a field filler that I didn't like, I guess, if you want to say that. But yeah.
You didn't like him even before that?
Nah, he's always just. I feel like he's always just been. I just don't think he was ever deserving a cup ride. I'm not taking anything away from him as a person or as a driver, but I think there was significantly more qualified drivers, and especially with Rick Ware, all they did was like hoard 4 charters and just
For
not
real.
start and park, but that's all they did. That's all they did, and I'll give them their props. They do things outside, but like imagine getting like chartered one of Rick Ware's charters to a JRM or like any other lower level Xfinity team or truck team. You know, can you like think
Yeah.
about it? Live Fast just sold their charter to Spire for $40 million. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I didn't really understand why he was in the sport. Like maybe it was just because Cody Ware is having such horrible mental issues and he's that unstable that his dad, but maybe he had him in the series just because he knew he could never hold any role outside. Maybe I don't know, but yeah, I was kind of I don't know. I was a little bit of a Cody Ware enjoyer because he kind of brought a little bit of a aspect of that mental health thing that a lot of drivers don't really focus on, and he was very down to earth, very relatable. I mean, he was kind of a loser, but he's a race car driver at the same time, so that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Very weird predicament.
I remember seeing on Instagram some of his. He had like a Discord server and stuff like that. So dude was a Discord mod too. I just thought that was kind of funny.
He liked goth girls and anime.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
No way.
there was some of that.
Yeah. But I guess that's Cody Ware for you. All right. So
Very interesting.
move forward to favorite moment of 2023. You've already got me and Wiley, so
What was your guys' moments? Just quick.
I said the Denny Hamlin, I'd be your favorite driver.
Oh yeah.
Noah Gragson, Ross Chastain fight.
Yeah. For me, it was Kyle Busch nearly winning the Daytona 500. Like that's how much it would have meant for me to win, like in that black RCR car with the 3 pushing him there to the lead. The fact that it didn't happen, it's still my favorite moment. And then Jimmy Johnson running top 10 in the Daytona 500 again.
I have to think long and hard about this one actually. There's a lot. It's a lot of moments. This is actually very difficult.
As it should be.
There's a few that come to mind. I think of the All-Star race coming back from North Wilkesboro. Even though the package wasn't the best, I think of Atlanta, the Atlanta July race, since I was there and got to meet Suarez on a few occasions, and him nearly winning that race before it was rain shortened. I think that might be it. But there might be bias because I was there. But I also think of Darlington this year, and the playoffs because I was there. I got to see there and I got to see Larson win, and it was a heck of a fight. But I think those are the 3 that come to mind. If I had to pick one, I guess Atlanta too would be one.
Yeah, those are good choices. I mean, Suarez finished second. Like that didn't happen very often this year.
Fortunately.
I mean, he would have won that if not for pit strategy on the.
Same for Indy, but I mean, you know, like I said, coulda, woulda, shoulda. I don't like dwelling on the past too much. I think it was. I wasn't sure if it was a mistake on changing the tire, or if there was a hose caught underneath the car. I don't remember, something like that.
I think they dropped.
Excuse me.
Dropped the car on the hose. I think I do remember that.
Okay, yeah, that was it then. Yeah.
Yeah. All I remember from that race is just Michael McDowell winning.
It hurt me, man. That killed me, man.
You not a McDowell supremacy enjoyer?
No, Suarez. I talked to Taylor about this a few months ago. Suarez and McDowell fought a few years ago. I think they smoothed over the beef, but you know, I'm a bit petty as a NASCAR fan.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, it is.
They can agree now. They can shake hands over running 15th every week now.
I was at his 500 victory. Now that I remember, actually, I was very upset that day.
Well, that happened. I forget about that a lot, actually. Just because he's such a good road course racer. It's kind of weird. Yeah. I remember like it ran until like midnight or something.
Yeah, the only reason we stayed was because it was President's Day, and we had time to go make it back. But I remember being livid with Christopher Bell after he like gave that bad bump on lap 13 and took out like 20 cars, and now it was just a train for most of the race.
Yeah, he is a horrible super speedway driver. Like, I'm not gonna hold back. He's horrible. Tyler Reddick are absolute dog crap. They need to fix their program over there. All right. So, okay. So we got favorite races, favorite moments, least favorite moment, least favorite race.
I did not like the All-Star race. That race, of all of them this season, put me to sleep. Like, I'm happy that Camaro won. I'm happy it was Larson. But to win by half a lap and to lead pretty much the entire race, I had a hard time continuing to watch that race.
Yeah, I mean, like, it was cool. It was the almost awesome thing to see North Wilkesboro back finally. Like, people have been asking for that for like 30 years. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I was really glad because me and the boys, we went to North Carolina that weekend, so I didn't even get to watch it, thankfully. So I was saved from that. But I definitely agree. I think I'm not gonna say that was the worst because it's still North Wilkesboro. But I mean, I want to say, maybe going to Atlanta and then going in person to the race, and then it being a Joey Logano win. Sorry, I think that's.
I was happy he was in my fantasy lineup that weekend too.
I think
I love my fantasy lineup, dude. I loved it.
people have to see that.
People have to see that, bro. I collected everybody like Infinity Stones, dude. Like you can't do that.
Yeah, I think I think you won in that. You have the honorary, but Wiley won the actual championship, but I think you have the honorary spot for sure.
I gave up after Coda, and then I think I came back just for Indy Road Course, just to put in more road course fingers.
Yeah, just to what's his name, Kobayashi.
At Kamui Kobayashi, and I think I had to put on SVG again. I had to put on SVG for the first time, and then
Yeah.
I don't think I had Brody Kostecki on there because I kept Jordan Taylor on there. But yeah.
I wanted Jordan Taylor to do well at the races he ran in so badly, but it's just a difference of experience. And I also want to mention that I did pick Shane Van Gisbergen in my fantasy lineup for Chicago. I did the Hail Mary on the new racer.
That was valid, man.
Did. That was insane. I was thinking about it because he qualified well, but I'm like, no, this doesn't happen. Road course ringers don't do well like that in NASCAR.
To be fair, I mean, it was more like his playground, you know. When you think about it, because we ripped street courses, and the fact that we ripped out the transmission straight from a V8 supercar essentially, and we brought it over to NASCAR. Like he was the only one using the clutch over there. You know, everybody just usually, even prior to the next gen, we had straight cut gears. Nobody used the clutch to shift, but he just used the clutch because he was comfortable with it. That was his groove, and obviously he demonstrated it really well.
He proved it. He moved up, I think, from 17th or 18th, last 30 laps, all the way past people, all the way up the field, those closing laps, and that was entertaining to watch.
I can't believe Haley nearly won that, man.
Oh yeah, that would have been crazy too. And Austin Dillon,
where was he, bro?
Where did he come from?
It's his annual cameo, man, running up front.
Then I was happy about the way Elliott did that race. I will admit, that was entirely pit strategy. He pitted, and then he found himself in third, and he just sat there. But
yeah, he had a lot of that this year. A lot of random pit strategy coming out of nowhere.
He had a lot of good runs as well. Good stops.
Gustafson trying not to get fired after the Watkins Glen incident.
Who? Who?
Alan Gustafson. Crew chief.
Oh yeah, no. I've heard. I remember the friend that I was trying to invite to replace. I think Ricky. He's a big Elliott fan, and he's given me a share of rants, understandably so, about Alan Gustafson. So.
Yeah, I still think he's better than James Small though.
Oh well, yeah, that's not.
He's better.
That playoff collapse. That was one of the most brutal things that I've ever seen.
But I will
I'm
say,
speechless.
it does show that the regular season does have an impact. The fact he made it that far and could have potentially made it in the championship four just on his points cushion alone, that says something to me. As bad as the playoff format is, at least there's that. We got to see that, you know.
Maybe I feel like what was a moment that just really just made me be frustrated? Maybe the Truck Series finale. That I guess that might have a lot of recency bias, but I'm trying to think of any other moment that really ticked me off. Maybe Coda towards the end of the race. That was a lot of. I mean, I get it, it's road course racing, but Coda is just a weird track. I don't see it being worth it on the Cup schedule, especially how narrow it is and how you saw what it is. You saw what happened. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe I'm biased because it happened to Suarez, but I mean, there was a lot of other drivers involved that got screwed in that, with the likes of like Jordan Taylor, Kimi Räikkönen,
Jimmy Johnson.
I don't remember Jimmy Johnson racing.
Lap.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, you're right. He did wreck first lap. I think it was Ty Dillon, something like that. It was a Spire car. I think it was Ty Dillon.
I don't know. I tend to disagree about the your opinion on Coda. Personally, I have it's probably biased, but I have a very soft spot for road courses. Something about that next gen, the old gen car, maybe not so much, but something about that next gen car running and going over those curbs and going around the track just looks so fast.
Oh, that looks good. No, I'll give you props.
Everybody's like hating on the next gen car road course, and I'm like, this is what Formula One looks like. Like, why
I'm
are y'all
indifferent. I'm indifferent on it. I think I guess I could like maybe because I've been watching it for so long, and I like my H pattern dog boxes, and I like my diffuserless cars, and like you know, no underfloor. But I think compared to last year, it's improved. The show has improved. So I mean, as long as NASCAR continues to make strides to improve the racing product, I won't be too. I'll try not to be too traditionalist. I'm a very I'm a very I'm a very picky guy when it comes to this kind of stuff. But,
yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
You should be passionate about the sport. Like, that's what drives it. You should be after.
I'm not the biggest fan of the Roval, and I think the main reason they did it was because Charlotte has been underwhelming. But Charlotte right now, dude, right with the next gen, that's every 600, bro. The 2022 600 is gonna be a hood classic in 10 years from now. I'm calling it right now. That was a special race to the
Four wide battle.
crazy.
Flip. I mean,
That's why I'm okay with the Roval going. I wasn't really opinionated on it up until like the last few years, where I'm just like, this is frustrating. But like I said, I don't like Wiley. I don't hate Coda. Like, I don't hate the road course racing. I don't hate the fact that the next one was made for this. What my problem was especially the restarts in turn one. That was really what.
Yeah,
that's why I was like, that's why I didn't like it.
Coda turn one is its own animal. Even like it can get so wide, but then it gets so narrow.
So
again,
narrow, so fast.
I think that's a skill gap thing. So the drivers that are up front and the ones that qualified well and do well at road courses and know the track, they get away. But then the ones that are towards the middle of the pack, like I think happened to Jordan Taylor at some point, the ones that don't know as well overcook the corner and go wide, and then they try and merge back, and it just creates issues.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Definitely the turn one. I think that they should not put back the stage caution for that exact reason.
Or honestly, if you want, let's push the restart zone elsewhere. I mean, we moved the line already. We already kind of moved the line for qualifying, right? We pushed the line all the way back, so they don't have to do a cool down lap and they just go straight into the pits, like IndyCar does. But I don't know. I mean, regardless, even if you move it forward past turn one or like even prior to, there's still going to be like a bunch of cars hurtling in there. So
the turn before the straight two is almost the same thing. It's a tight narrow.
You can't like push it back because then everyone's going to be starting on that turn. So
yeah. So I mean, I don't know.
Make the start line like the big straightaway on the back
But
part.
even then, that has a very nasty corner as well. It's similar to turn one, so I think it's a lost cause, man. I think it's a lost cause. So I think we just gotta bite the bullet on that.
Just get rid of the stage cautions for that track. Like I know it. I know the thing with that is the stage cautions makes it more entertaining on a restart to have those restarts because it has the opportunity to run green for so long. But at the same time, it's also NASCAR, and I think those cautions will breed themselves to an extent.
I think I saw a video by LE Productions a few weeks ago, and I think it was a very interesting discussion because it was talking about phantom cautions, and he was like, and the stage cautions essentially just replaced the phantom cautions. And that's because the phantom cautions have dropped dramatically, and now we just have stage cautions that just breed more cautions. Me personally, I'm more of a I like my races more organic, so I don't like the idea of stages. I'm not against the idea of providing points mid race, but I would love to see stages without cautions, and
Yeah.
I think that could produce a lot more organically good racing and actually develop some form of strategy. Because now everybody just pits everybody either makes a pit stop once during the stage and then at the stage, and then up until stage 3 where they have to take like at least like 2 pit stops, and that's usually how like the formula for every race goes.
Yeah.
It leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Like if they keep the stages, that's I think is really it gives you some race, but it doesn't make it nauseating to go through the cautions.
Those
So
cautions take, yeah.
I agree with you.
And then I agree with what you were saying about the strategy because although the stage cautions do kind of make a split, you can a lot of the teams pick, oh, do I want to win the race or do I want to get stage points? But the issue that comes with that is that's the two options you get. Like it kind of narrows it down to those two things, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's not fair. It's not the same competition. Like you should be wanting to win the race no matter what.
Right.
Like don't confuse new fans. That's weird, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I think I do apologize for keep on referring to YouTubers, but I think they have a lot of valid points. Unsurprisingly, that's why they have the popularity. But Slap Shoes talked about it in this video, I think in like 2019 or something, that NASCAR hired celebrities to explain how the hell the playoffs work. I think I could send you guys the video afterwards about why he believes the playoff system is worse than originally seen. But it it really like blows my mind a little bit now that I look at it. Even like in the early years of the playoff format, was like with the stage stuff because obviously prior to that we had no stages and it was just the pure uh, eliminations and nothing else. But that like when the stages were introduced, my mind was like mush. I was like, what is going on? And I've been watching this for like 10 what is it 2023? So it's like 12 like almost 11, 12 years now.
Yeah, it took
I think
me a
that's
while.
concerning.
Just like okay, the guy that finishes first wins, and the guy that finishes the highest up most of the year is the guy that wins the championship.
Should always be like that. But what else can we do?
Okay, so next point is doing a little bit of a health checkup on the field. So just some drivers that not necessarily like people don't really talk about, at least not to the same coverage of the championship four. You could talk about those too, but just in general, what drivers and teams do you think are trending down, and which ones are trending up?
I think to start with, I think RFK is definitely trending up. I think that team is really entertaining. I'm not biased at all from their Instagram account. That's essentially a meme page, and I love that. But
Quality.
Busher with 3 wins this season. Both drivers making the playoffs. Brad Keselowski pointing his way in, having some good quality finishes. I definitely think RFK is one of those teams that's going to start getting talked about more.
Yeah, that makes me feel very warm in the heart to see Brad Keselowski running up front again.
Not for me, but
Oh, of course.
Gordon fan, like the flag back there.
Yeah, but I mean, Yeah, oh, he's a leader in the sport now. I feel like he's graduated from his, maybe not actually because of Daytona last year, but still, I think he's better than he was.
Fair enough. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. Trending up, I want to say front row. I think because RFK was a good shot, but I think front row I feel like they've gotten their crap together. Um, like 10 years ago, like I shrugged them off, dude. No, I didn't. They were just field fillers to me 10 years ago, and now they have quality with their driver lineup. Todd Gilliland, I've seen him quietly sneak top tens every now and again. Like I remember Darlington, he got top 10. Where Lars, sure, you can say, oh, they crashed towards the end, but that's still impressive to have a top 10 and that kind of team.
yeah,
Trending downwards. I'll say Suarez. I'll be brutally honest, man. That year was. It's not the worst year that I've seen, but the lows were pretty low.
yeah, a lot of bad.
But yeah, there was a lot of bad luck. Trackhouse stepped down a little bit, but it wasn't the worst. Um,
Yeah, I think a lot of it was just Chastain reassessing his driving style. I think a lot. I think he's definitely trending up wholeheartedly, especially with the win at the end of the year.
oh yeah, for next year, yeah, he's trending up, but I feel like right now, I feel like it was just a trend down from compared to last year.
Yeah,
With the trending down discussion, I hate to say this, but Stuart Haas, well, it's not really, but with Stuart Haas, I think is going to start a trend down. With Harvick leaving, Almirola leaving, which Almirola hit or miss this season. Had some good finishes, had some good qualifying efforts.
nearly won Martinsville.
That's crazy to think about.
I wish
Almirola. All right, that's the one. That's the one race though. A lot of the other races, he was outside, which he still had some good finishes. Anyway, I digress. Harvick leaving, Almirola leaving, Josh Berry. He did well in the Chase Elliott car with the Hendrick equipment towards the beginning of the season with a second place finish. I gotta wait and see what he does. I think he could do well, but at the same time, I think the Ford issue, if that doesn't get figured out, I don't know what he could do with that. And then possibly Noah Gragson. I think it'll still take him a minute to get used to the Stuart Haas Ford equipment, and I think next year it might be another off year for them. Is what I'm going to say. Y'all can disagree with me if I want. Taylor's making some facial expressions that makes me think it's a controversial opinion.
No. I agree with you. Stuart Haas has been absolute trash the past couple of years, and they need to make some drastic changes. And if they're going to hire on Noah Gragson, that's not drastic changes. That's a horrible idea, and he does not fit in with the team. And Ryan Preece, not working out. And Chase Briscoe, their sole pro right now.
To be fair to Priest, it's only his first year. Most drivers take their time to adjust, and I think Priest certainly has the caliber to do so. I know a lot of people have are quick to disagree, but I've seen him and the things that he's able to do. Like even in his few opportunities with Gibbs, he was able to rip off wins. So I think there's a lot there that I think he has, and I think he knows. It's just a matter of if SHR can get their stuff together. To an extent, I'm going to disagree with the SHR thing. I'm not sure if they're going to trend down or they're just going to trend up or if they're going to stay the same. I think they're going to stay the same, but with the new Mustang, that's why I think they're going to stay the same. There's a new Mustang coming next year, and Ford hopes to have these problems that they had this year, being the most uncompetitive manufacturer, sorted out. So I think we should be on the lookout for Fords. I'm not sure if SHR can come back per se, but I think we got to be careful with RFK, as we previously mentioned, and front row. Those guys are going to be some threats.
Yeah. I think I agree with both of y'all. I could see that happening. I think it's probably going to be a tale of two seasons. We're going to see. I'm going to predict right now that it's going to be Chase Briscoe and Josh Berry. They're going to make some waves. And I want to believe in Ryan Preece. I think he's going to be leading laps in short track. He's going to be destroying the competition there. But the season as a whole, I don't know. I find it hard to believe in him, but I want to, though.
Yeah, I think this season for Stuart Haas is going to be a get right with God season, as so to put it, because to give them credit, they they maintained Kevin Harvick and they maintained Almirola with his debatable season this season. And then Ryan Preece and Chase Briscoe were up there in the top 20 and sometimes in the top 15, top 10 this season. But with so many variables changing, like possibly two new drivers. I don't know if the Gregson thing is confirmed just yet. The new car with the new Mustang and the different team dynamic with those drivers, I think this season is going to be difficult for them just because of how many things they're going to have to adjust for.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. They're definitely gonna be a team to watch, 100%. Well, what do y'all think about Alex Bowman? I'm curious. People don't really.
I felt bad for the guy. He was kind of a victim of the team a little bit because he was points leader until his the penalties at, I think it was Phoenix, the hood louver penalties that got levied on Hendrick. Obviously got appealed, and then his back injury from the sprint cars, kind of took his momentum out a little bit. And I think had that not happened, he would have made the playoffs pretty handily because he was having good finishes. And like you see with Elliott too, the momentum is a big thing. It takes a minute to get used to racing a car after being out for 6 weeks. And then obviously by that point, say what you want about this, but the Hendrick resources were completely into Byron and Larson at that point, being the definitive playoff making cars that year.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I can agree to that. I don't know. I think I want to say it's a similar year to 2022 because I know he got that win at Vegas, but outside of that strategy call, I can't really remember of a time where he was like in contention for a win, even this year or last year. So that's why I'm like, I don't feel like he trended down. I just think he had just had a similar season, decent enough season by his standards. Obviously, the injury set him back a few weeks behind, but I mean, I think he probably would have made the playoffs without that. He definitely would have made the playoffs without that injury. But regardless, I think I didn't see much there.
Yeah, I mean, the dude like cannot stop getting injured, and we have not, like you said, when you really think about it, Alex Bowman has not competed for a win in like nearly 2.5 years. That's insane. Not everything, and he's an injured driver. Like I think that like he should be there. Like Austin Dillon has probably competed for wins more often than Alex Bowman in the past 2 years. That's concerning. Like he can finish well, but he doesn't. It's funny because he was once called a hack. The dude can't execute. It's weird to think about.
Then he's the hack, according to Blaney. Remember that from Homestead.
Well, in the current format, everybody's a hack.
True.
There's not a lot of drivers turning down. I guess on the topic of Austin Dillon, definitely. Besides Bristol Dirt, he didn't really show anything this year. And
I think he was up front at Texas, or he qualified well at Texas up until his car gave up or something, or there was some accident. I don't remember.
Yeah,
Texas playoffs.
At the end of the year, he did, but yeah, he was basically a no-show. And I want to see that number 3 car run well. I think that they should put Kyle Busch in that car. That's my radical opinion, but
That'd be so weird.
It would be, but it would be so fitting.
It would be fitting. It would be fitting, but I can't imagine the outrage. I can't imagine. Oh man, that would be. It's weird. I mean, I'm not like. It's not like I'm like a disagreeing opinion, but I'm just like, damn. How you start a war?
Yeah, it would, but I don't know. Maybe that's what RCR is good at.
Free my boy Creed, man.
Yeah, that's something. I think that was on the list later. Maybe it's not, but yeah, that maybe look at RCR in a whole different light, and it made me really sad to see that.
I'll touch more details on that later when we get to that topic.
Yeah. Right. Well, before we move on, any more trending down, trending up, anything worth mentioning? I did put Joey Logano on the sheet, and that's something that's interesting, but I'm not too worried about because he always makes the Final Four every other year, and this was the odd year when he doesn't, and it's weird. It matches up. It's freaky, but I don't think we have to worry about that. Hopefully, he won't. Sorry, maybe he won't win the championship next year.
Oh, it's good. I mean, my main guy's Elliott right now. I like to watch him. I will say, I think he won Throwback Weekend with the flying brick paint scheme, the red, white, and blue. I think that was awesome. That's just my own take on that.
Throwback, yeah, the AMC, you're right.
Mr. Mark Donahue.
Yeah, I want to say
Elliott?
No.
Oh.
Joey Logano's.
Logano. Oh
Red, white, and
yeah.
blue paint scheme.
The AMC Matador tribute. That I'll give him his props. That was cool.
Throwback schemes, like I think it wasn't Darlington, but it was North Wilkesboro, Eric Jones.
Oh yeah, the Petty.
Yeah.
This is double bias for Darlington on a side note. I like Ricky Rudd. I like Ricky Rudd a lot. He's even as a Gordon fan, I still think he's NASCAR's Iron Man, the only Iron Man. One of the toughest dudes to ever drive a race car. So
Wait,
to see
trending up, trending down.
Oh no, sorry. You talking about Darlington? Sorry. I want to have a little tangent. My fault.
Right.
Yeah.
Living in the '90s, throwback in there. I gotta bring in the Petty. Bring that Petty in. This is a weird scale diecast. Like I don't even know what scale it is, but it's like super big. It's freaking weird. I don't even know what it is, but
I'm trying to see if I have anything over there that's really like old. See Carrie Earnhardt, but I'm not gonna take it out.
Yeah, Ricky Rudd. I mean, a lot of these drivers people forget about.
I like Ricky Rudd a lot, and that's why I like Suarez's throwback. That was my favorite.
One.
Sterling Marlin. I have a few diecasts of his as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, we could talk about diecast collecting another day.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
Okay. This is what my thought was. We were talking about Eric Jones in the throwback scheme. Eric Jones. This is something that I'm going to touch on later. But Eric Jones, I think he's the most trending up driver. Just the fact of how much your legacy elevated at the end of the year. Eric Jones, I'm going to say it now, is going to go stupid next year. Like this guy, he's going to win multiple races. He's going to contend for a playoff spot. That's probably a horrible prediction because I thought that.
No, I agree with you, and I have points on that later when we talk about our predictions for the playoffs. So I'll leave that until then. But I agree with you. I think Eric Jones is a guy to watch next year.
Right.
I'm inclined. I don't agree with him going stupid, but I do agree that he at least gets a win, and he's going to definitely make it. At least the first two rounds, or even the first round. First two rounds. First in and or out around the round of 16 or 12, either or.
Yeah. At least 12 or 16. Because he just hasn't been in a high pressure situation, really. I mean, he has, but not really. But that's all I worry about. All right. So we've already kind of touched on this, but the package in the race car, not just at road courses, but everywhere. Where's your landing spot on that? And what do you think about the current racing product? What do you think is a direction NASCAR should go to make it better? Because they should.
I think road course is okay where it is. Just because I don't really know what they could do to make that better. The 1.5-mile track package, whatever they've been running, I think is good because I've seen good racing on 1.5-mile track packages. The only thing I have comments on is the Talladega Daytona big old drafting tracks package. I think there needs to be less downforce and more horsepower.
I mean, on a track like Dega, I would love, like I've already said, I would love to see that. But I don't know how they do that safely. That'd be something to see, though. It would be cool. But I mean, I think I gotta agree with you. It's improving in every aspect. Like road courses, people complain about it, but it's because the car is too good. It races too well. I think that's fine. I mean, we still get the competition, still see who's the best driver, which team has the best equipment. The super speedway racing is improving. There's a lot more three wide racing now. Short tracks, that is the worst one we've got right now, but it is getting better. And then the mile and a half, I think, is trending down, specifically because it was so good last year, and because the teams are getting a hold of their car. Personally, but that's where my stance is.
I think you hit my points pretty well, Taylor. But I disagree with a few things. I'd say, I think I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to do with the road course. I don't think there's. I don't particularly hate it. Because there's a fair amount of overtaking. I don't know. I don't see. I'm trying to think. I don't think it was horrible. Maybe if you guys want to add more horsepower, if you really wanted to solve the problem, if there was a problem in the beginning, uh, short tracks definitely need more power. Either more power or drop the diffuser. At least for those tracks, just for those tracks. Mile and a half. I agree. It did trend down a little bit this year, but by no means is that a bad thing. Because I mean, the racing was still solid. I think. I don't know. I guess like again, big power. I like my high horsepower cars. So maybe more power over there. Trying to think. Super speedways. I think what they did the last two races was really good. That was really promising. Seeing them go three wide a lot more often. I like that a lot. I liked what I saw. I liked what I saw there. And I'm trying to think. What else? Did I touch on everything? Intermediate, short tracks, road courses.
Yeah, I guess we
I
don't
think-
have to talk about dirt anymore, even though that was probably the most fun dirt race.
Sorry.
That makes me sad. That the dirt
Yeah.
track going makes me sad. There needs to be one dirt track, if not for the very least to honor the heritage of NASCAR. There needs to be at least one dirt track, and I know people have their opinions on that, but the dirt track leaving makes me sad because I liked that race.
Where
Saw
do you
my
think-
hand.
Yeah,
I did my hand like this when you said dirt went away. I think I like to side with Richard Petty. What he said about this. Dirt should be left in the
agree with
past.
okay.
I agree with him. Dirt should be left in the past.
Okay.
I liked the idea when we had the Mud Summer Classic with Eldora and the trucks. I think that was a relic of its time, and I think it should have stayed a relic for the trucks. But I just feel like it lost its luster when they left Eldora, brought dirt to the Cup Series, and then went to Knoxville for the trucks.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
yeah,
really. I agree with both of y'all. I think that, I mean, we should tap back into the heritage of the Cup Series, but also at the same time, like, it's kind of weird, I guess, like from the standpoint of people that have been watching for so long, like Richard Petty. But at the same time, my opinion is that NASCAR has the most diverse racing schedule in the world. And when you take dirt racing off that, the diversity of that goes down a lot.
Well, I just had a thought. What do y'all think if we had an all-star race, one-off all-star race in the dirt? Because then that solves some of the problems Uriel was talking about, where it's kind of a weird race to have in the Cup Series, but you still keep that competitive racing because you're racing for $1 million. Like, what do y'all think about that?
I'm inclined to agree.
Like the
Genuinely,
prelude of the journey, basically. But
yeah,
with,
but no, that North Wilkesboro used to be dirt, man, in the '50s, man. I'm just saying I'm not. I'm usually anti-dirt for the Cup Series, but I'm not against that.
points paying race, and then dirt as the all-star just because it's cool as hell. But put it on Eldora. Don't put it on Bristol.
Or North Wilkesboro. North Wilkesboro used to be dirt in its inception.
That
I
would
mean, the track doesn't really matter to me. I just like to see the dirt racing.
I think I don't know. I like the idea, but it's just these cars are made for road racing, flat bottom, flat floor, flat underfloors, diffusers. You don't really put that on a dirt car. When you go to your local dirt track, like anywhere really, you don't see, you look at your late models. You don't see a very nicely made underfloor with like it's very sophisticated carbon fiber diffuser on that. That's really just a NASCAR thing. So that's my thoughts on it.
I think it's so absurd. Like when you look at pictures, it's like they don't belong there. But I think that is what lends it. It's insanity and why it's so freaking cool. But we could do without it. I mean, a lot of fans are not happy with it, and a lot of the dirt fans, like the real hardcore dirt guys, don't like it because it's like
Larson, I think he was against it. So I think that says a lot.
Yeah. I think that it's like kind of like infringing on, like it's not really respecting their side of the sport, I guess.
Yeah.
That's other thing, like the dirt and asphalt thing. There's been a rivalry for decades with that.
Excuse me, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be sad to see it go though. I mean, we had Tyler Reddick and Christopher Bell, Austin Dillon, all the dirt guys, Kyle Larson, all fighting for the win. That was so freaking cool though.
I
And
forgot Austin Dillon did dirt.
yeah, he was originally a dirt guy.
Yeah. No, I remember. It's coming back to me.
Yeah, Ryan Preece, I think, was running pretty well there, if I'm not mistaken.
He was the one. He had an incident with Larson too.
Larson.
Yeah.
I have a Larson fan. Believe it or not, a Larson fan from the UK. He loves IMSA. He actually trashes on F1 a fair amount. So you gotta give him his props. He's a very rare breed. But Priest left a bad taste in his mouth at the Bristol Dirt. He doesn't like him anymore. He's a Larson fan for reference. So I don't blame him. But
All right, so we move on to the next section, and that is the silly season and the 2024 changes. So, first one on the list, the retirement of Kevin Harvick and the Josh Berry replacement. We've already touched on it, but what do you think about it, and what do you think is going to happen?
I think that Kevin Harvick retiring definitely has an impact on the sport. He's been in it for a long time. He's influenced it in multiple ways. I won't get super deep into it. I think this season was really fitting for him a good way for him to go out because he did well this season. He made the playoffs. He pointed his way in. Unfortunately, didn't have a win this season. I wish he did. Personally and secretly, I wish that it was him that had won Phoenix instead of Chastain. That would have been beautiful. I think regardless, it's a good send off because he wasn't in the back of the field. He did well. He had top 5 finishes, top 10 finishes. Overall, I think it's a good way to go for him, and I'm kind of excited to see if he ends up in the booth with some of the announcers next season.
it hurts. It's weird seeing Harvick go. But he's the last guy to have raced when it was called the Winston Cup Series. That to me, that's an end of an era. This is an end of an era, essentially. And it's weird because I grew up watching when I started watching NASCAR, almost everybody had raced in the Winston Cup Series. Now there's zero. Because Kyle Busch made his Cup debut in 2004, and Denny Hamlin in 2006. Those are the veterans now, and it's a very weird feeling for me. But I think I'm willing to disagree with the season was not fitting. The universe gave him the biggest trials and the most painful losses that I've ever seen. Darlington specifically, maybe because I was there, it comes to mind. He had Reddick not wrecked whoever he wrecked. I think it was Newman. Harvick would have pitted, would have gotten the lead, and I don't know if he would have ran away with it, but he had a heck of a car that would have helped him get into the round of 12. And I mean, knowing Harvick, I think he could have made it farther. So it hurts to see what became of his season.
And he's really good at Phoenix. He could have won this championship.
Exactly. You can imagine the amount of effort that SHR had put in had he made it far. But I wish Barry the best. I really hope he does well in that seat. I think I know SHR's not the best right now, in the best shape it's been, but I have trust in Tony Stewart.
Yeah.
I don't say the other co-owner, but we keep it moving.
Who's never at the track, but
busy at the F1 races.
Yeah, but I think Stewart definitely cares a lot more than most people give him credit.
I think he's just been busy with SRX, but that's not to take away and be like, oh yeah, he doesn't care about the sport. You should have seen him on the pit box when Custer won the title. He was ecstatic, and I think I know he's very passionate about the sport, and I think you guys have seen it. He's very passionate about the sport, and I think it's very shallow thing to say, oh, he just doesn't care about it because he has SRX and this drag team and all this stuff. But I know he cares about it. He wouldn't have stayed there if he hadn't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. People don't give him enough credit for what he does. I think that talking about SHR and stuff and Harvick in this final season, like there were so many chances with Phoenix in the spring, Darlington, like you said, like that hurt to watch. That was painful. And
Can you
then,
imagine being there, man?
oh yeah, and you were there. Good.
That hurt me, man. That hurt. And then a few laps later, I think Suarez got into it with Bowman a few laps after. That was a rough race, but I still enjoyed it. Obviously, you always gotta appreciate when you're at a race. But yeah,
Yeah, unforgettable either way. And then Talladega, of course. Blaney, Harvick, Harvick, Blaney.
and then he got disqualified, man. All of that for nothing, dude. Hey, imagine that he won. That was the worst. That would have been worse.
If he won, I hope they would not have taken painful. I mean, it was a beautiful but also painful last round. Yeah, but Josh Berry. Before that, Harvick in the booth. I just want to touch on that. I don't think Harvick is really very good for the booth. I think what they need is Kurt Busch because he was awesome.
Busch. I wish Clint Boyer was more energetic. If we continue to talk more about the booth, I think
Go. Like
literally on the. I think of the last lap. I think of the last lap of the 500 when they wrecked. Everyone's like, "Oh, and they're wrecking," and then I think Mike Joy said, "Crash." I'm just like, man, like,
and then he's trying to. He's given up, but he's trying to hold it all together. Trouble. He's trying. He's trying really hard. But Boyer is. Oh my gosh, I think he's extremely annoying. I probably shouldn't be this bashful for one guy, but I really do not like him and Jamie Little in the trucks are so. I cannot stand it. I want to blow my brains out when I hear them. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know if Kevin Harvick is the solution just from what I've seen in the booth. Hopefully now that he's full time in the booth, maybe better. But yeah,
that's fair.
But so Josh Berry, where do you think he's going to line up?
I think this year is probably going to be well. To be fair, he raced a lot this year in the Cup car because Elliott and Bowman being out.
He replaced Noah Gragson for a race or two.
He did that too. I want to say that this is what I think is going to happen, honestly. I think he's going to have 5-6 races where he has top 10 finishes, and I think that's going to be the extent of his season. I think out of those 5 or 6 races, he might finish top 5 1 or 2 times. I don't think he's going to win just yet. I don't think he's going to have an absolutely crazy rookie season.
I agree with you 100%. He's going to have a Ryan Blaney year without the wins.
I think he's going to do slightly better than what most people expect him to do. I'd say maybe a few more top 10s. I don't know about more top 5s, but certainly I think although this year in Xfinity Series was really bad, but I mean you've seen what he's able to do on the fly, especially in 2021. Remember when he was subbing in for Annette, winning Vegas races at Vegas, and even in his part-time races, he was winning. He was winning on all types of tracks. He was winning. He was first winning in Martinsville, and he won it at Vegas, which are two very different tracks. So he wasn't really mixing it in at the road courses, or the super speedways too much. But he's there. He's in the mix. Given SHR, I could see him performing. I could see him performing better than Preece. What Preece performed this year. I think he will be better than that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be who's top dog, Berry or Briscoe. I think that's going to be the main thing here. It depends on who the fourth guy is. That'd be really weird. But I mean, if you really think about it, given it's going to be Preece's second year, I think Berry, Briscoe, Preece, and if it's Gragson, I think they really all have a chance to emerge as the top dog. Potentially, I think that's going to be really interesting. Either way, continuing the fame of SHR, Eric Almirola is retiring, or he has retired now, and Okay, so we've talked about Noah Gragson. So what do you think about Eric Almer retiring, and who do you think will replace him, if not Noah Gragson? Because I was thinking, or I don't know, spitballing like Trevor Bayne or something, because Trevor Bayne's wanted to race again.
Trevor Bayne would be Trevor Bayne would be a crazy that would be a crazy signing, but I don't think he's done enough races recently to be constituting of a ride. But that would be really cool to see, maybe to see him get a possible opportunity. But I don't see anyone other than Gregson maybe getting it unless someone comes in with big funding. I don't see it. So I don't know I don't know if Gregson has fun. I don't think Gregson has funding. I don't know if his Wendy's deal is still a thing or what. But
I think so.
think so. I haven't seen anything I haven't seen a formal ending. So I'm like maybe he has something, but who knows? I think I don't see anybody else taking it honestly when I think about it. As for Almirola, I think I don't know. I don't really have a strong opinion on him. I think it was cool seeing him win a few races here and there. It was nice. Talladega 2018 was a weird that was a weird race, man. When you look at it, few years gone. But I think Slapshoe said it. Like he's won races in very weird ways. Good amount of his career. New Hampshire by darkness, Daytona by rain shortened, and shortening, and then I mean you can even argue Talladega. You know, I mean half of his teammates ran out of fuel.
Yeah.
After those four were just in front.
Yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, he's been there randomly, but I mean, talk about Eric Almirola. He's just kind of always there. He's not really like, there's no, you can't really have like a really like big opinion on him. Just kind of
Yeah,
like,
kind of a hard guy to have an opinion either way on. Like you said, he's always there. He had that little God, who was it this season that like pissed him off? Was that Bubba Wallace or like in the pit during a rain delay on one of the races? There was some kind of skirmish between him. I want to say it was Bubba Wallace. I cannot remember who it was. It might have been LaJoy. But
I think it would have been Bubba and LaJoy, but I'm not sure. I don't remember too well. I think it was Michigan.
what?
It was one of the races with a rain delay, and he was like sitting there, and
I think it was Michigan.
yeah, I think it was Bubba Wallace. Now that I think about it, and there was a little bit of a.
I just remember Busher won that race. Truex was up front, and then Suarez I think was at a shot at the stage at one point. Was that in stage 2?
Yeah,
It was a race on a Monday.
I was probably like half asleep, like because I got like 4 hours of sleep before class, and then I was probably in my car between classes, so I don't remember jack and nothing. But that's interesting to think about. All right, well, Carson Hocevar and Zane Smith to Spire. Me and Wiley already dunked on him a little bit, but what do you think about that? Big Carson Hocevar fan.
I'm not gonna lie. As a big Kosovar guy, I was disappointed he didn't go to JRM. I was really hoping he'd go to JRM. But given his performances with Legacy, I'm cautiously optimistic. There's certainly, I think there's a correlation between how well you do in certain feeder series because, excuse me, I think if you do well in trucks, it seems like you're inclined to do well in Cup because, look at Ty Gibbs, you know, he destroyed the Xfinity series in the 2 years that he was there, and look how much of a struggle he had. And then Kosovar he doesn't even have a season under his belt. And look at him like running top 5, top 10. It's impressive. So it's interesting to see. That's a little correlation thing that I've noticed. I think him and Zane Smith are gonna do well. I remember at Gateway in 2022 when I think Busher had COVID or something like that. He subbed in at Gateway and he actually outran Keselowski that race. So I think there's a lot of potential with those two guys, and I could see them doing well. And maybe that could propel Spire up a little bit because even if you really think about it, like when Elliott did his antics at the 600 and got himself suspended, when LaJoy stepped up and Hocevar made his Cup debut, subbing in for LaJoy, he was running top 50. He was running top 20. I think he was around like 16th when he had that crash because of the brake failure. Yeah, so there's a lot of potential there, and I think they will do really, really well. And I hope they do really, really well. And I could see that really possibly strong possibility.
I think that in certain moments that will definitely happen. But I think that they should have put him in an Xfinity ride at least for one season, especially considering how well he ran.
I have a little bit of a prediction for Hocevar. This is kind of a longer term thing, so like on his career in the Cup Series. I think that he, like we mentioned before with Spire, I think he runs bottom third of the pack, not very well. And he uses this season and maybe possibly next season, depending on how he does, to get some experience more experience in the Cup Series, get some experience how the drafting feels, how the middle of the pack racing feels, the Cup Series. I think he uses this time to show that he is capable in a Cup car, maybe has a couple of good finishes in the Spire car. Who knows? But I think mainly these years he's going to use to try and get a seat in some better equipment.
Yeah, I think that he definitely is, maybe using this as a springboard. It's just really tough to get that ride in other equipment if you're not showing that. And I feel like Xfinity would have been a better place, easier place, lower effort to show that. But I mean, Spire's got that game bridge money, so we'll see. It could happen. I don't know. Yeah, but we got Justin Haley to Ware. How about that? Are we feeling good on that, or is that stupid?
I think that Justin Haley has got to see something that none of the rest of anybody else does. He's got to know something. Rick Ware has got to have something up his sleeve to convince Justin Haley to go run with them.
Instead of calling, yeah. I don't see it as something like that. I see it as him switching over to the Ford umbrella, and potentially, if he does well enough given the circumstances, he could eye up the 6 in a few years for RFK. Because I don't see any Ford prospects. Like, the only Ford prospect that I think of that comes to mind that just got promoted was Haley Deegan, and I'll give her credit. She did okay in her singular Xfinity start, but like as I was talking about earlier with the truck style, like I feel like the truck racing somehow translates better to Cup, as we saw with Hocevar and Zane Smith in their like little ventures through being a substitute. Obviously, there's exceptions, like Josh Berry. Obviously, he raced Xfinity and he's done relatively well for himself. And I mean, look at Ty Gibbs struggling. So. I mean, here we could talk about Haley Deegan if she does well in Xfinity, so to speak. But realistically, who else do you see in the Ford pipeline? I don't see anybody from the trucks. Like I mean, Majeski is decent, Ben Rhodes is decent, but do you really see RFK going all the way down and taking a gamble like that? I just don't see it.
They're truck lifers, I think. I think they've decided. Maybe not Majeski, but definitely Rhodes.
I'm saying, who else is that? Who else is over there? Crafton. Oh, Herbst.
Yeah. He's so weird because he's a winner now. I don't know where to look at Herbst with.
I have some thoughts on Herbst too. I think that anywhere else other than Daytona and Talladega, I think he runs like, if he comes up in the Cup, runs like bottom third of the field. But he did finish well in Daytona this year. The second
Talladega.
He did finish well in Talladega, and he was running up there for a lot of the race.
Blaney gave him credit for the push.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. He's a team player, and he's got the Cup talent. I think that after this season, we're gonna have to see how many races he can win because he's a winner now. The first one's always the hardest, as Dale Jr. said. After that, who knows?
Look at Mayer, man. Bro ripped off wins like crazy after that. Man, so
it's gonna be crazy next year.
Trying to think.
Interesting.
Either way, I feel like Herbst is gonna stay with. I see Herbst sticking under Stuart Haas for a little while longer. I don't see him going to RFK. I don't see RFK. I don't see that being on RFK's radar, so to speak.
Well, we think about the 10. If that seat is going to be filled by somebody, and Cole Custer wants to get back in the Cup eventually. I don't know, forward spots are kind of running dry. You got to be. The 6 car is going to be pretty hot. coming up.
Custer's already confirmed next year, though, I believe. Right.
25. You never know what'll
Yeah.
happen. Because Custer,
You're right.
he plays Cup, but like, I don't know, just he had a bad introduction. He's got the talent for a pay driver. That dude is.
He's not even paid. No, it's just his dad. I think is president at SHR over there. So I think it's more nepotism. No.
Yeah. Well, this is the big one, or at least one of the big ones. Probably beside Josh Barrett, probably the biggest one. John Hunter Nemechek to Legacy Motor Club, and Legacy switching over to Toyota. Then, of course, you got Jimmy Johnson driving a Toyota.
As a Chevy guy, it does hurt me to see Legacy going to a Toyota. The color schemes are going to be weird. I think JHN is a good fit for a Legacy Toyota. Jimmy Johnson driving a Toyota, I do think it's weird.
That's really weird.
Especially since he drove with Chevy for so long. But I do think that Legacy Motor Club does go where the speed is. Richard Petty was known to do that. I think that's a good move for them. I don't think they were doing well enough to garner Chevy's support like Hendrick and Trackhouse have. I think that's the right move for them. I just think it's weird.
Yeah.
I hate it because I really wanted to see more of Eric Jones in a Chevrolet, along with not Noah Gregson because he's gone, but I don't know. It left a bad.
I mean, I was a believer at first. I wanted to see him go.
I still am. I mean, after he maybe I'm biased because he was like very nice to me from the few times I've encountered with him, but I still believe he can wheel a race car. I mean, I've seen him the 2 times I've been to Darlington. I'd say no. Well, the first 2 times I went to Darlington since I've been going since 21, he won the Xfinity races there. He won 2021 and 2022. 2022 was a banger, but that's a little bit side topic. But I do think overall with the Legacy move, I'm not a fan of it. With them going to Toyota. However, I don't like Jimmy Johnson too much. I grew up a Gordon fan, so I got to be biased. I'm a little bit biased against Jimmy Johnson a fair amount. So I'm unfazed if he goes to Toyota or not. I don't lose any sleep over him leaving Chevrolet. So, but hopefully, I mean, regardless of any biases, I hope they do the best to their ability. I think it will help them out, primarily because they're more of like a factory team. I think as long as you're not like a Gibbs affiliated team, because even 2311, it's like more of like its own thing. But like had they gone under Gibbs, I feel like they would have gone under in a few years, similar to Furniture Row or Levine Family Racing. You notice how those dropped dramatically. They fell off the face of the earth.
I hope that get actual support from the factory, because if it's going to be like another Furniture Row thing,
I believe they are. I think with Jimmy Johnson and Richard Petty's name on board, I think they're getting it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you bring up a pretty good point about Eric Jones and Chevrolet. Like Toyota did him pretty dirty a couple years back. So
they did a lot of talents dirty when you really think about it.
Yeah, Toyota is not.
Eric Jones, Suarez, Logano. Who else comes to mind? Who else was a young driver? You can argue Matt Kenseth towards the end of his career.
Carl Edwards, except we don't know. You could maybe say that's something.
I'm a firm believer that was more of Ayers paying off Edwards so they could put Suarez in. I know some people would be willing to deny that, but I think that was definitely there was something at play with that because he didn't seem like he was going to quit. Even him crying during it just felt like off. All those years ago.
Crap that happened with Subway. That was stupid.
I'm unfazed by it. It's whatever. Subway's loss.
Yeah.
I do want to take this opportunity to speak on Eric Jones. I think like I said earlier, I agree with Taylor. I think he's going to have a good year. I think with Legacy, if they end up getting a fair amount of support from Toyota, I think new car. Eric Jones, he started to get hot a little bit. Started to have a little bit of a top 10 streak towards the end, a couple races this year. I think that it is possible Eric Jones wins multiple races this year.
I agree. It's going to be, I think we're going to have to look at Talladega. We're going to have to look at Darlington. We're going to have to look at Texas, Las Vegas.
Darlington, definitely. No way you can't. No, that guy is.
Yeah.
Levels, man. There's levels to that.
One of the happiest times from 2022, one of my favorite days. One was Bubba at Kansas, and then Eric Jones at Darlington. Dude, I was so happy just driving home. I think I was smiling the entire time.
Seeing him win was really cool. I was more obviously when I'm, I guess, with the lens of I've already talked about it with the bias that I have, but
You were there.
Oh yeah, I've been going to the Southern 500 the last 3 years, so I saw Hamlin win in 2021 with Larson trying to do that the wall ride. So 2022 where Suarez had a penalty and he had to serve a drive-through on the first lap, clawed his way, escaped from getting lapped, got all the way up into the top 5, got walled by Christopher Bell. That's where the pettiness started from Bell. But I think towards the end of stage 2, right? He walled them, and even Suarez had a bet. They had some discussion after the race, whatever. But Suarez was all the way up to 4th, and then he had a speeding penalty, but then the yellow came out, so they just said, all right, you're not eligible for the wave round, and that was that. He finished 17th, 18th, when he could have had a car that was probably top 10. Maybe top 5 had he just not screwed himself, but again, coulda, woulda, shoulda. But regardless, Eric Jones winning was a crazy thing, and I still have a video of him doing his burnout and him jumping onto his pit crew. I can send that video to you after.
Yeah, I remember it. I was filming the entire TV broadcast. I don't usually film TV broadcasts, but I had to. It was that insane. We're beating on John Hunter Nemechek. Do you think he wins? Does he not?
I don't see him winning, but I could certainly see him getting some respectable runs. I wouldn't rule if there's very few winners. I could see him pointing his way in, genuinely, possibly. But obviously there's a lot of growing pains. So we have yet to see people. Some people hit the ground running. Some people have growing pains. Similar to Chastain and Suarez last year, they hit the ground running pretty solid, and then this year, for example, I think Ty Gibbs, he had a very slow start. So it's up in the air.
Yeah, but he is doing a really good job up there. I hated Ty Gibbs in Xfinity. He's him and Logano, and I don't dislike Logano anymore. I actually respect him more since he went there. But Ty Gibbs was one of the only drivers I disliked. Actively did not like him. But now I think that's completely flipped on its head. He's matured a lot.
I still dislike the guy. I'll give him.
I don't like Ty Gibbs.
I still dislike the guy. I think what really struck out to me was maybe more again. I guess Sam Ayer fan. Yada yada yada. But that was the night I became a Sam Ayer fan. That because I met him prior. But that Martinsville beef that they had last year, to me, that left a really bad taste in my mouth. He didn't take his helmet off, walked up to him, then they interviewed him, and he said, I tried to talk to him, but he just kept up getting in my face, so we had to start fighting. When he was the one who walked over, kept his helmet off. You see what I mean? Leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
You don't want to fight someone, you take the helmet off. The same thing with Kevin Harvick at Bristol.
Bristol 2021. Harvick was just that was a silly move by Harvick in hindsight. I like Harvick, but that was dumb.
Yeah,
I think it was more dumb what Elliott did as well with the temper tantrum as they labeled it. But both sides coulda, woulda.
Yeah, I think that. Dude was just being a team player, but
I think I was more petty than team player, but yeah.
Yeah, you're right because of what happened earlier in the race. Yeah, I forget about that. Yeah, that was a long time ago. Oh my gosh.
You want to know what I was? You want to know? You know how you know why I remember that night so well? I was at homecoming, man. I'm not a big dancer. I don't like dances, so I deeply regretted going to homecoming that night. But watching that cup race illegally on Twitch, man, that was
dude. That's what I was doing back then too. Before I got YouTube TV.
we had cable, but like I didn't have any like the streaming services on the phone or anything because I guess I deleted them. And I was like, man, I need to find a way to watch this. And I pulled up the legal Twitch stream and just watched the races watch the race there.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
On that, I'm a horrible dancer. I didn't even go to homecoming, so
I skipped my senior prom to go to Talladega. That same weekend where Chastain got a second win, I got the garage experience, met Gregson on the boulevard, met him in Victory Lane after he won. That's where I started liking Gregson a lot. Was that he signed my shirt in Victory Lane. I had his Darlington win shirt, and he was like, thank you for the support. And then I found him hammered on the boulevard. It was the same weekend when he had his
he'll go and party with people. That I do like about him.
and he's genuinely a good guy, and he has my respect.
Yeah.
Being a fan favorite.
Man, y'all on dance. Y'all gonna catch me and get off of here. I'm gonna go to Sky and have me a night, man. Y'all missing out. I tell you what.
You saying you're a good dancer?
Yeah, I'd be showing off just a little bit. There's a video of me doing the entire Footloose karaoke.
I'd never.
I
Really?
could never, dude. I could never, man.
Forget.
You cannot catch me doing that.
I want to see that now.
I'm not gonna show it to you now. The video is it doesn't come across because there's a group of 4 girls up on the front up in front of the stage going absolutely nuts over it, and that was a different thing. That was funny, but we'll get back to the racing. That was just kind of a joke I wanted to make.
We're gonna have to see that at some point. But
I'm looking for the Eric Jones burnout. I'm sending it to you and in messages right now.
well, I think the last thing I wanted to touch on, which we didn't when we talked about driver checkup, I just want to know what y'all opinions on Bubba Wallace.
Look, I think he can drive a car. Is basically the general idea of what I'm gonna say. I don't have the highest opinion of him. He does kind of breed drama, which is not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. He kind of comes off to someone who doesn't pay attention as a crybaby. Sometimes he does do well at Talladega and some of the bigger drafting tracks, and he has started to do better everywhere else. I don't know. I can't get on board with it. If he starts to, I guess, mature a little bit and start to present an image of himself that's not kind of I don't know how to put it. He just the few times he's gotten attention, it's been in a bad way. Like the fight with
Larson, yep.
some of the other things. Like, I don't know. If he starts to do some things that are more positive, then yeah, I can get on board with it because he can drive a car, and when he makes smart decisions, he does do well.
Plus, he's in a Toyota, right? When he went over there from Petty, I was sad, but yeah, I don't know. I want to be a Bubba believer, but last year at Vegas, that made me really disappointed. But
I agree. I tried to like Bubba for a while. I have a friend who's a Bubba fan, but I just think he just does unlikable things. I think back to the 2020 All-Star race in the Open where he wrecked McDowell and then he just slandered his religion a little bit. That left a bad taste in my mouth, regardless of whether you're religious or not. I think it's wrong to slander a man's faith. I think of Las Vegas, obviously, that comes to mind. And while I respect his openness and his vulnerability with his mental health struggles, I know he doesn't ask for it. I know he's not asking for pity, but it comes off that way, and I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't take anything away from him. He's certainly a quality driver. He's proved it to us countless times in the lower divisions. But I think if he's able to control his emotions better, whether it's in the race car or with the mic, and not victimize himself as much, I'd say he's good. Because I don't want to be labeled because people could label. I could be labeled as a racist for like saying I don't like Bubba Wallace. But like, it's like I like Rajat Caruth. Like Rajat Caruth, when he announced his move to GMS, right? He was like, "There's just no pressure, man. This is the dream. I'm very privileged to be here and stuff like that." To me, that really spoke volumes of like Caruth as a person, and I really liked Caruth. So I think the idea that's what I'm saying. Like, because like people could argue, "Oh, I'm racist," but that's how I view it, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, you should be able to look at him objectively, regardless. But on the topic of Caruth, I'm kind of disappointed it was Sammy Smith that got that 8 car because Caruth
kind of the season left a lot to be desired, but I think I still have faith in the guy. I don't think we've seen the last of him. I don't know if he's going to turn up. Well, does he have a ride for next year?
No, not yet. It's weird.
That's concerning.
Yeah,
he doesn't have the funding.
Weird.
I hope he can get a good ride, man. That's the best I can hope. He certainly, I think, deserves the opportunities. Along with Ryan Vargas. I think Ryan Vargas doesn't get talked about a lot. I remember a few runs that he had in Xfinity when he was sponsored by TikTok. He had like a solid top 10 run in a JD Motorsports car. You don't really see a top 10 in JD Motorsports often nowadays. So I think to see him do that, I think there's a lot more credit that needs to be put. I think if they can catch that lightning in the bottle again, I think I'd love to see both of them get proper opportunities.
Yeah, that would be good. A lot of guys like that in Xfinity that don't get enough credit. Yeah, unfortunately.
Stephen Parsons, that's another guy. Stephen Parsons, Blaine Perkins.
Oh yeah, Blaine Perkins for sure. Josh Williams.
Josh Williams has had some good runs, yeah. But everybody just knows him for parking it at Atlanta and getting suspended.
What a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we have made it to the final section of our podcast here. Early, super mega early, ultra early, 2024 championship picks. Remember this. What you say now. Remember it. And think about this hard.
All right, I'll go first here. I think Chase Elliott. I'm gonna pick Chase Elliott again. I'm not gonna learn my lesson from last year. I think that now that you start again with a fresh season, your resources are fairly equal. He now does have to compete with William Byron more, but I think he kind of matures a little bit, and now that he doesn't feel rushed like he did this season to get a win, I think he kind of settles in, and I think he has himself another season like he did last year and that 2020 season, and I think he kind of lets the frustration from this year kind of drive him to make smarter decisions and win some races. And I think that says a lot about him as a driver.
Yeah, it's going to light a fire underneath him. I think so. I'm picking Chase Elliott too. I think 2022 he was the best driver. 2020 he won the championship, 2020 he won the championship. 2021 was a weird year, but he had his injury this year. But he nearly won a couple races this year. Like Chase Elliott, like Ryan Blaney, seeing Chase Elliott win the championship, it lit a fire under Ryan Blaney. Chase Elliott sees Ryan Blaney win the championship, he's gonna be out for blood next year. I think he's on a tear.
Oh yeah, and then Chase Elliott. On another note, for my fantasy pick, he is the last couple playoff races. He has always been a cop out. Like he has, except for Martinsville and except for Phoenix, and there's been one more in this playoff run that he didn't finish well. Apart from that, he has found himself in the top 10 almost every single time I've picked my head up to look at the position.
Yeah, he was in the running. He was going for that owner's championship. He never still had one of the best average finishes of the year in terms of like pure drivers. So yeah. I think that shows a lot of his caliber he has. I'm gonna be like Wiley here. I'm gonna say I'm not gonna learn my lesson. Look, man. I'm gonna say Suarez, and hear me out. Hear me out. This is gonna rage really horrible.
Oh
but
my
no,
God.
Look. I remember a few years ago, people were talking about, oh, Blaney's never gonna win a championship. He's not good. He's not good enough for it. How petty. He's just the next Casey Kane. He's just that, And given how chaotic the system is, I'm willing to like he does some Johnson-esque stuff, and they just exploit the playoffs somehow, some way. Maybe that's a bit delusional. Maybe not exploit the playoffs, but I think back to his time in Xfinity. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you've ever seen seen the results of that playoff run. His worst finish was like fourth, in that 7-race Xfinity playoff,
Yeah.
and he decimated in those playoffs that year. And I think when push comes to shove, under pressure, I think he could truly perform. I think even at Homestead, that when he won the title, he led 133 of the 200 laps. People say, oh, he got lucky, this or that, but he was still dominated the race, the entirety of that race.
Yeah.
So I think there's a certain clutch gene in there, and similar to Elliott, they're both going to be out for blood next year. No, I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you watched. I don't know if you've seen the Xfinity title that he won, but with like on the last restart, somebody stayed out, and Eric Jones was restarting behind them. I think 2 of the championship 4 were restarted behind Colwitt in like a slow car, and that was on old tires. And him and Elliott Sadler just booked it because they were on the outside, and people say, oh, that's the only reason why he won the title. But even then, he had a strong race car throughout the day.
Yeah, no, he was. I mean, he was one of the best drivers that year. I didn't watch, obviously. I was also sitting on my ass back then, but I know about it. And
Yeah,
it's crazy to think that he won the title. But yeah, so the next race that NASCAR will run, obviously, it's the Clash, and I guess we can make picks for that. But the next points paying one is the Daytona 500. Who wins that?
I picked Mr. Eric Jones in the new Toyota to win the Daytona 500 this year.
Good one.
I want to say Suarez, but I can't do that 2 in a row. I'd be shooting myself in the foot really bad. I don't see. I'm trying to think of quality plate racers because Suarez, I think, is an underrated plate racer. I'm trying to think who else who's like slept on.
Bubba Wallace isn't slept on, but he's a pretty good plate racer.
Bubba Wallace, yeah, you're right. Bubba Wallace is up there.
I don't know.
Not Reddick. I'm trying to think.
I think the streak of weird winners of this race, like underdog winners, ends because we had McDowell, we had Cindric, which is so forgettable, even though I was there, and then we had Stenhouse. Like they came out of nowhere. I think that ends. I think we get a big guy. I think for this one I'm going to pick Chase Elliott also because he is one of the slept on.
Technically, I would say it's a surprise because he hasn't had his luck there.
Yeah, I mean he did finish in 2021 though.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I want to say I don't like this prediction, but I'm going to send it and say Denny Hamlin. I think he's always a threat.
Yeah, he's really. I mean, he's got 3.
I don't 2 in a row, man. And yeah, that's something, man.
Good pick. Got some merit.
See Blaney. Blaney would be a really good pick, but I'm gonna commit to Denny.
Okay. Yeah,
I hope I get it wrong though. Personally.
I mean, it'd be a hell of an entrance to it because everyone's gonna be like, favorite finally.
and then somehow, some way he loses it again. I share a birthday with Denny Hamlin, believe it or not.
Oh, you do?
Me and him, yeah, the 18th of November, so that's in 8 days. So.
All right. So, real quick, who wins the Clash? I'm picking Priest.
Brian Priest. Yep. Yo.
Nice. Okay.
I have no idea. I have no idea about the Clash.
I trust him, bro.
I watched it this year. I liked it. I genuinely, if I had to pick, I think Truex. I think I'm picking Truex.
Okay. Okay. I mean, he's good at short tracks. I mean, Martinsville, Martin Truex, like that's his place. So
Monday Truex Jr.
Yep. Okay.
One Monday, yo, that's actually crazy. That actually was hard.
Yeah. If the Clash gets delayed, it's him. Like he won 2 Monday races this year?
Yeah, he did.
Not Michigan. He did not win Michigan. He won Dover and what else did he win? Dover and what else?
No, Gateway was Busch.
Buescher broke his Monday streak.
Yeah, Buescher did break it. I think it was it Dover and Pocono or what else? Where else did he win?
Then he was Pocono. Dude, wait. Martin won Sonoma, right?
But that wasn't Monday.
Sonoma. He
did. But what? He won New Hampshire, and
Okay.
and Dover. That was Monday.
Cookie better. Okay, I remember now because that was where Eric Almirola also nearly won again. Until like he had a wheel come off or some crap. Oh my gosh! All right, well, I'm glad we're in the agreement with Priest there. I mean, he's insane short track driver. Like he won there in the modified in Martinsville. So
Hell of a modified driver, dude. I think he was champion 2012, 2013, one of those 2 years. He's champion. I think there's certainly a lot to there's a lot that we haven't seen of him.
yeah, he's a good race car driver. Like he's kind of like Larson. Like whatever car he gets in, he has the potential. He's not saying he will, but he has the potential to run well. All right, so real quick, what are the 16 drivers that make the playoffs next year? This is the big
I was looking through our messages, and I was going through the section, and I was like, "Oh crap, I need to do this." And I was texting, like when you see me looking off the camera, that's what I was working on. I have the list right here. I technically put 17, but the last one's a toss up. I have the 400 cars.
Okay.
I
Ooh,
have
so
the four. What'd you
that's
say?
tough. Going Alex Bowman with that.
Yeah, I could see it.
He'll point his way in at least. I don't think he'll win, but yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with you.
The four Gibbs cars. I think Gibbs steps up this year.
Gibbs.
I think Gibbs steps up. I think both Trackhouse guys make it in.
Ooh. Ooh. Okay, so then we got 10 spots.
And then I added 2311. Both 2311 cars make it in.
Really? That's crazy.
I mean, I think they have the quality, and I think the team's improving. So I think I may not like Toyota, and I may not like Bubba Wallace as was previously stated, but you gotta be unbiased in these predictions at times.
Yeah.
I know I was pretty biased for the championship title, but I truly see it happening, one way or another. It's someone with a similar story.
Yeah.
Like Bubba, I think if the stars align, I think Bubba could win a title too. Just like that's how I think Suarez can.
Back to back after Ryan Blaney winning the title, everyone's gonna be so mad. But that could happen. Yeah.
Trying to think. Now I'm down to 14. That's 14 of the 16. So now I have 3 drivers here, but I think two of them are more likely to make it. Eric Jones, he's gonna be the 15th. And then my toss up. This is where my toss up is. It's either Stenhouse or McDowell. And I honestly want to pick Stenhouse because even he improved over the year, even without the 500 win. He was still running like top 15 in points throughout most of the season. And I think that was something that people didn't. That's something that I think even went over my radar at some points in time. So I think Stenhouse can improve on what he did this year and certainly point his way in. I think McDowell would be the first one out.
So no Stuart Haas, huh?
I'm
out.
I don't see it. I don't unless if someone win, I would love to get proven wrong. Honestly, I'd love to get proven wrong. Don't get me wrong, but Stuart Haas is looking really bleak.
All right, here's my list, and this is in no particular order. These are just the drivers. I think Hamlin, Larson, Elliott, Byron, Lenny, Logano, Chastain, Keselowski, Reddick, Ty Gibbs, Alex Bowman, Martin Truex Jr., Christopher Bell, Chris Buescher again, Eric Jones, and Mr. Shane Van Gisbergen with his road course win.
Is he full time?
Nah, he's not full time.
Is he not? I thought he was.
No, he's. I thought he was in a development role for his Trackhouse, and he's running like part time in all 3 series.
Yeah, he's gonna be all.
Okay, so maybe instead of Van Gisbergen, let me go with Chase Briscoe. I think Chase Briscoe gets a win.
All right. I
have the predictions. I have the predictions. I have my predictions here screenshotted, Taylor. So you don't have to write it down.
I'm trying to do a 16 playoffs.
Oh, you're doing it yourself.
I'm trying to do a quick over. I do think all 400 cars get in. I think that okay, so we got 4 now. Okay, Reddick, that's 5. Briscoe, 6. I think that Eric Jones is going to be in there, so that's 7. We're going to see all 4 Go Gibbs guys. I do agree with that. Well, you know what? One of them's not going to make it. I'm just going to say that. And it's probably going to be I'm just going to say it right now, it's probably going to be Truex. So I guess that would leave us at 10. I don't know. I was going to say all four Joe Gibbs, but something about it, not really feeling it. And then I don't think, because we've seen a slump after every champion so far. Chase Elliott winning 2 races, Kyle Larson not winning a lot last year. I don't think Blaney's going to make it, but I do see Joey making it because he just does in every other year. So Joey's going to make it. So I guess that would leave us
The
at
even
11.
numbered years, yeah.
Yeah. Cindric, he's dog water. He's not going to. Sorry, Cindric. I want him to do well, but
I was never fond of him growing up.
you were not. I mean, he's definitely he was a bit of a hothead.
I remember of this is so petty, dude. But I think of Mo Sport 2017 when he wrecked Grala. I think that really put a damper on. I wouldn't say a big damper. I wouldn't say it put a damper because I mean, but on Kaz Grala's career because he lost his GMS seat a few races after, and to this day he's been struggling to find a seat ever since. You know.
Yeah.
So,
Is
and then Cindric, his response to he was like, he was like, he already had a win, so I didn't feel bad wrecking him. And I'm just like, that's really nasty. That was a nasty thing to say. That left a really bad taste in my mouth. His dad Tim is president.
no, Tim Cindric.
Tim Cindric's actually Joseph Newgarden's race engineer too in IndyCar. So sometimes Tim isn't even at the races, bro. He sometimes is on a different racetrack with Joseph in the IndyCar gang.
Couldn't care less for Cindric. Yeah, so I guess that leaves me at 11 because I added Joey in there. And I do agree both Trackhouse cars. So we're at 13. And then I guess that leaves 3. There's so many drivers left.
You already said Eric Jones, right?
Yeah, Eric Jones. I mean,
there's JHN that comes to mind.
Yeah, I love Bubba, but I don't think he's gonna make it. And there's a lot of chances to win races in the playoffs. I'm not saying that these drivers will not win. Bubba could win.
Did you say Reddick already?
Yeah, he did say Reddick.
Reddick is good.
I'm surprised you excluded Bubba, but fair enough.
Yeah. I want to say that Corey LaJoy makes it. I want to say that he's probably. I think that
is a hot take. A little bit of a hot take.
No, I feel like if a lot of drivers have a chance for a wild card win this year, I think it might be his turn because
Atlanta.
Atlanta comes to my mind. He has had some weird races this season where he's done well. So I don't know.
Yeah, just randomly. Like I think Pocono and one of the road courses I think he was doing really well. Just out of nowhere. And then Martinsville too. He was leading that race legitimately. I mean, I guess there was sort of strategy in there, but he was leading of the 2-tire cars. So
virtual P1 essentially, maybe in a sense.
I mean, if he stayed up there, like Chase Elliott had a chance. Eric, yeah. So I guess that leaves me at 14 now. It's getting down. Who the heck else is there running right now? I don't want to say Zane Smith, but I want to say Zane Smith, but I don't.
I feel like it's an unknown it's an unknown quantity given he's at Spire. But I mean, again, we've seen him run well, but I don't know if it's going to be something like that. I could see him maybe being in top 20 in points, maybe just outside 21st, 22nd.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
Both RFK cars will.
Yes, that should be.
That's it.
Really simple.
Joy is my big one, but besides that, yeah, John Hunter Nemechek has a chance. I think he legitimately does, and Carson Hocevar and Zane Smith.
I'd say don't sleep on Stenhouse or McDowell either.
Right. Yeah, not putting McDowell in there is kind of hard, but I see front row kind of stagnating after this. I think that they've reached their ceiling, but maybe I want to see them do well. So,
hopefully Todd Gilliland can put in some good runs. I'd love to see him prove me wrong, man. I trust him, bro.
Is he full time?
Yes, he's full time. It was front row had to decide between him or Zane Smith,
right.
And they committed to Todd. He actually replied to my Instagram DMs once. I think it was he posted something with I think it was his wife. I think posted something about staying on 2024 and I said W Todd, and like replying to the story, and then he liked it, like not even like a few minutes after. So
Yeah, that's what we
yeah,
drivers interacting on social media.
I think. Let me think. Who else is responding to my DMs? J.R. Hildebrand on IndyCar.
He'll like stuff. He'll reply.
Who?
Daniel Suarez. Maybe not DMs, but he'll like posts. And
Oh yeah,
stuff.
no, he's like my comments before, but I'm talking about like NDMs and stuff. Only like Todd Gilliland and Parker Kligerman. I think in early 2020, before COVID was even thought of, I replied to him because it was around Rolex 24 time. I asked him. Sorry, this is gonna be cut out, but I asked him. I was like, "Do you have interest in running the Rolex 24?" And we had some good conversation. We had like a good conversation or two. So Parker's cool in my eyes.
Man, maybe you should work in the media. Okay.
Maybe.
Really well. You'd be
Maybe
better than I am because I'm
could
horrible at it.
really, because I don't know. I thought you were pretty good with what you were posting at your stuff. I think I'm good because I'm social. I like because I'm not afraid to talk to people. I guess because remember.
Whoa, like you are like aggressively social.
Like,
but I mean, best way though.
Yeah. Because I mean, like, think about it. Like, Wiley, I don't know if he told you how we met. He was wearing an Out of the Groove shirt.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I saw the shirt from afar, and I was like, wait, is that like just a retro NASCAR shirt, or is that like a proper NASCAR shirt? I was thinking in my head, and I was looking at it for like a good second, and I don't know if he was thinking I was weird or something, and I was like, wait, you watch NASCAR? And I was like, yo.
And then you have like one shirt on or something. You had some
F1. Oh yeah, no, I still have that F1 backpack. I have an F1 phone case, and my wallpaper is Suarez at Martinsville, actually.
Oh, baller. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I could be hit or miss. I'm too nervous to bother people, which I know is the whole thing with the media is you kind of got to get comfortable with that because to an extent you are. I was in the pits with another guy, Taylor and I know, EJ.
Oh, so you guys were both over there, right? Were you guys both over there? Okay. At Homestead, that's cool.
But I was in the pits, and Chase Elliott was like 5 feet from me. We were at the driver introductions. And his dad was like pushing me. He's like, "Yo, go talk to him." I was like, he's already got a face full.
Bill was talking. Bill pushed you?
No.
Oh.
His EJ's dad was like, "Oh, go talk to him. Go talk to him." Not like physically pushing me. I was like, he already had a face full of paparazzi, and I didn't want to be the annoying fan, so I just kind of sat there. I was like, it's okay. Just seeing him is enough.
Yeah, he definitely, or drivers definitely. They get barraged. So I mean. It's definitely like really nerve-wracking to have to approach people. Like you have to be almost aggressive with it. So
yeah.
That's why I think you'd be really good at it. You're real, but like it's like there's so much like guilt in it. Like just especially when a driver just crashed and you have to interview them and they have to talk about. So how did you feel about getting eliminated from the playoffs? Like
unless it's Denny Hamlin.
Oh, no. I don't know if I could ever do that. I don't know. I feel like I can get my questions across, but I don't know. I just feel like I'm like aggressively social, but like I feel like to those guys, I know they're just human beings like us, but
bro, man, I turned into a Swiftie.
You're not a Swiftie. Don't never say that.
I got up to
don't do that.
Drivers.
I've seen some terrible Swifties.
Okay, you're not. Swifties are a cult, first of all.
Yeah, no, that's a cult, dude.
Like I got up to some of the drivers and I dead ass like froze. I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm staring at someone who is like a role model or whatever. And like you get there and you kind of forget how to, in a way you forget how to act. You kind of just sit there and stare.
Yeah, it's real, and they're right in front of you. There's these people you've seen on TV.
I want to show this off.
Right in front of you. I mean, I was just walking, and then just William Byron emerges from the crowd. I'm like, holy shit. If I was a fan, I don't know. I'd say something.
I wanted to show off diecast because Taylor was doing it. This is Suarez's first Xfinity win. I bought it autographed because I had no option to. But it was really cool because, not cool, but like it was an interesting fact to note that Eric Jones' dad passed away the week prior to the race. And you could see this is what separates it from most 2016 diecasts. There's a Dave Jones and like the Eric Jones font. You can see like the little gray sticker. Yeah. And you can see the race detail. But I have a lot of Suarez autograph stuff. I could show you. Do
you have a diecast, Wiley?
Yeah, I've got 3 of them here with me. They're all 1/64th though. I have a Kyle Busch, a Chase Elliott, and Jimmy Johnson from this season.
That's an interesting mix right there.
I bought this the day after he won this title, and that's when after I signed this, I told him, "You're gonna be in the Cup Series soon." Some girl from middle school, her dad worked at Dollar General, and they gave me. He went to the Bristol race, and he got given a duel signed by Matt Kenseth and Joe Gibbs.
Wow. And Joe Gibbs himself, coach.
Yep. And then I have Gordon's last race win, and then I have some more over here, and then I have some more in another room. This is Casey Kane's Sonoma win, and
Going off diecast.
I have a Logano
I'm jealous.
signed Penske hat, but that's like the only signed thing I've got.
Oh yeah.
This is my prize. This is my prized
I'll
possession.
go get it. Give me a second.
This is my prized possession. Suarez's first win, autographed in person.
Oh, first win duo.
It's Elite 2. Elite 2.
Dude, I need an Elite, man.
Yeah, this is my my Logano signed Penske hat.
I don't want to show. I feel bad if I show off like my 5 or 6 autograph Suarez hats. I have this.
You don't wear that hat anywhere, do you?
No, I don't. It's I got it when I was like 12, and I took the tag off, and I was like, shit, because I didn't realize you weren't supposed to wear it. So I don't know, it just sits here. It's cool though. If it wasn't autographed, I'd wear it all over the place.
I have this hat. My friend gave me this hat because he buys a lot of race use stuff, right? Hold on, let me get it out of here.
Race use hat? Wait, how does that work?
Well, he bought it from the Racing Warehouse, which is like a race use store, and I'll show you. Hold on, I just dropped the hat.
Oh, I heard about that, and they'll sell pieces of the
sheet metal. Yeah, sheet metal. Well, I guess technically carbon composites, but
I had a man cave. I'd buy that.
He bought a tire.
Dude, if someone ever gave me like a piece of sheet metal from any Chevy, from any Camaro from the last couple of years, I would hang that shit on my wall.
He bought a tire. Oh, sorry to interrupt, but he bought a tire, right? And he said, "Yo, he got a bunch of hats as a surprise." And he waited years to give me this. A friend of mine from South Carolina. He goes to Clemson now. I think he's studying journalism. Believe it or not, as well. He gave me this. Look what it said. 26. This is 2015-16 KBM Daniel Suarez, and look underneath. It says Joe Gibbs Racing Crew. It is
oh, cool.
It is. That is. I should wear this to campus more often, man.
That's awesome.
But
y'all, I gotta get on in about 20 minutes. Do we want to wrap up somehow?
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, I don't want to.
No, I get it.
Y'all,
y'all have lives.
Memorabilia war here.
Yeah, no.
We all have lives. I'm sorry. I just like talking about it, man. I just like talking about it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's the passion, you know. That's what this podcast is for. But we'll definitely do another one, and we'll get Ricky on there. He's a Denny guy, so.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks, man.
He has some pretty heavy opinions too.
Mine are. I'd say mine were pretty heavy compared to new fans. I think because I think I'm a lot more of a boomer. I think a lot more like the old heads.
Well, you're the oldest.
Definitely more than us two, because you've been around paying attention since what you said 2010.
Well, my first was 2010, but I started my first season that I truly started watching was 2012. I got hooked late 2011.
Yeah, you've been around a lot longer than us, but I think that'll make a really good session for the next one. But yeah, we hit everything. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about maybe doing it someplace else because I know you saw me moving around a lot, and I felt really bad about that. But we're like a new NASCAR team, man. We're growing pains, and we're learning to get better at it. Getting better at it.
We'll figure out a better name for this podcast. We got to think about it, but
right. The name is the hardest part, man.
We can make a group chat. I deleted Instagram for a week, but I think eventually Taylor could just make a group chat, and then I just follow both of you guys, and then maybe I can get a friend of mine. Well, unless y'all don't want it too crowded.
Yeah, Ricky's not a big media guy because he's in the Army, but
that's fair.
I'm glad y'all were able to join. I mean, it was a lot of time, but it was fun. It was
worth it. Yeah.
Really good conversation.
Oh yeah, I totally do it again.
Yeah.
My computer's about to die too, so good move. But for sure.
All right, boys. Well, I'll see you next time then.
Have a good night, Wiley. It was nice meeting you.
Yeah, y'all take